Ẹ kú kàlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ wo ọkùnrin, obìnrin, ọmọdé àti àgbà olólùfẹ́ yín Ìbùkún Olúwa ọmọ Sànúsí tí ẹ mọ̀ sí Àpèkẹ́ tún dé pẹ̀lú àrà ọ̀tọ̀ àlọ́ tó kún fún ọgbọ́n, òye àti ọ̀rọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ Yorùbá. Ẹ máa bá wa ká lọ. Àṣà Yorùbá kò ní parun.
Mo kí wa tayọ̀tayọ̀. Ṣé ohun gbogbo ń lọ dédé? Onígbàgbọ́ pé bá ṣe ń lù náà ló ṣe ń dún. Ó dà bẹ́ẹ̀. À ń bá ìtàn wa bọ̀. Ó ń lọ wẹ́rẹ́wẹ́rẹ́ ògbójú ọdẹ nínú ìgbẹ́rún mọ́lẹ̀. Kẹ̀dẹ̀ má gbàgbé Àpèkẹ́ Adé náà ni o. Adánidúró ní ọ̀sẹ̀ tó kọjá ní ibi tí ó ti pàdé tàbí tó ti lọ sí ìlú àwọn ìwìn. Tọ́ba wọn ti ní pé kó wá jókòó ti àwọn tí ó sì bá wọn lù tó sì darapọ̀ mọ́ wọn láti lu ìlù. A ó máa tẹ̀síwájú. Tẹ́lẹ̀tẹ́lẹ̀ mo ti kọ́ ìlù lílù nígbà tí mo wà ní ọmọdé, nítorí nígbà tí n kò bá tíì bá bàbá mi lọ sí ìgbé ọdẹ, ẹ̀gbọ́n mi kan tí máa ń lu ìlù ni mo máa ń bá kiri. Eléyìí túbọ̀ fún mi ní iyì láàrin àwọn ìwìn yìí. Mo gbé ìlù, mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí lù ú, gbogbo wọn sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí jó. Ẹ̀yin ọ̀rẹ́ mi, àwọn ìwìn a máa jó o, wọ́n jó ju kòkòrò lọ. Nígbà tí mo lu ìlù dára púpọ̀, ọba pàápàá dìde lórí ìtẹ́, òun náà fi ijó sí i. Inú èmi náà túbọ̀ dùn, mo túbọ̀ tẹ gọ̀ǹgọ̀ mọ́ ojú ìlù, mo bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ́sẹ́, mo ń paguru mọ́ ọba. Ó pẹ́ púpọ̀ tí ijó yìí ti lọ. Lẹ́yìn tí ó sì parí tán, ọba mú mi lọ sí ilé, ó sì fi oúnjẹ dídùn fún mi. Nígbà tí mo jẹun tán, ó fi ilé kan ta mí lọ́rẹ. Ó sì fún mi ní ìránṣẹ́kùnrin àti ìránṣẹ́bìnrin. Ó sì tún wí fún mi pé kí n máa bá òun gbé, kí n fi ibẹ̀ ṣe ibùgbé mi. Ṣùgbọ́n bí mo bá fẹ́ lọ wo àwọn ènìyàn mi ní ìlú mi, òun á fún mi ní àwọn tí yóò máa mú mi lọ sí ibẹ̀. Yóò wá jẹ́ pé mò ń lọ sí ibẹ̀ bí àlejò lásán, kí n sì padà wéré ni. Ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ wọ̀ mí létí, mo sì gbà á bí ó ti rí. Mo pẹ́ púpọ̀ ní ìlú yìí, mo sì gbádùn gidigidi. Ọba ibẹ̀ fẹ́ràn mi ju ẹ̀mí. Ojoojúmọ́ ni màá wá ọ̀nà àti mú inú mi dùn, tí màá kẹ́mi tí sì máa gẹ̀ mí. A máa ṣe mí bí ọmọ. Bákan náà sì ni ọ̀pọ̀lọpọ̀ àwọn ará ìlú náà ṣe mí lóore, tí wọ́n sì fẹ́ràn mi sí ńdódó. Nípa tèmi pẹ̀lú, mo ti bá ọkàn mi pinnu láti tẹ́ gbogbo wọn lọ́rùn dé ibi tí ipá mi bá lè mọ̀. Kò sí ohun tí ẹnikẹ́ni nínú wọn lè bẹ̀ mí tí n kò ní ṣe. Kò sì sí ibi tí ọba wọn lè rán mi tí èmi kò ní lọ. Gbogbo wọn dàbí ọmọ ìyá mi. Bí ó ti wù tí aya pọ̀ tó, ọkọ kò ní ṣàì ní ààyò nínú wọn. Mo ní ọ̀rẹ́ kan ní ìlú yìí tí ó fi ara mọ́ mi ju àwọn yòókù lọ. Gbajúmọ̀ háúháú ní ẹnu rẹ̀ tó ní ilẹ̀ ní ìlú dáadáa yìí. Ó ṣe ní ọjọ́ kan, ọ̀rẹ́ mi tọ̀ mí wá, ó sì wí fún mi báyìí pé àkàrà oògùn. Ǹjẹ́ ìwọ mọ̀ pé àwọn ará ìlú yìí ń gbèrò àti pa ọba ibẹ̀? Ó dùn mí láti sọ fún ọ pé wọ́n ti di mọ́lù, wọ́n sì ti bá ààyò ìyàwó ọba múlẹ̀ bí àwọn yóò ti ṣe mú un. Wọ́n fi obì kan fún obìnrin náà láti fún ọba jẹ. Ó sì dájú pé bí ọba lè fi ẹnu kan obì, wéré ni yóò kú. Ó pẹ́ tí àwọn ìlú ti ń wà nídìí ọ̀rọ̀ náà. Alẹ́ àná ni wọ́n tó fi orí rẹ̀ sí kan ní fún ìròyìn náà. Ẹ̀rù bà mí láti gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ yìí. Mo sì lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ ọba, mo sọ fún un. Díẹ̀ ló kúkú kò má gbà mí gbọ́, nítorí ó ti gbẹ́kẹ̀lé obìnrin rẹ̀ yìí púpọ̀ jù. Nígbà tí ó pẹ́ ṣá, ó pinnu pé obìnrin náà bá fi obì fún òun kò ní jẹ́, òun yóò sì rọra fi obì náà pamọ́. Nígbà tí ó di òwúrọ̀ ọjọ́ kejì lẹ́yìn tí ọba àti ìyàwó rẹ̀ jẹun tán, ní obìnrin náà pé ọba, ó sì wí pé kábíyèsí, mo tilẹ̀ gbàgbé kí n sọ fún yín lánàá. Èmi àti ọ̀kan nínú àwọn ayaba lọ sí ilé ọ̀rẹ́ yín kan, ó sì fún wa ní obì 4. Nígbà tí a pín obì náà, 2 kàn mí. Gẹ́gẹ́ bí ẹ̀yin náà sì ti mọ̀, n kò lè jẹ nǹkan kan kí n dá yín sí. Àti àná náà ni mo ti di tiyín sínú ewé tí mo sì jẹ tèmi. Mo tilẹ̀ gbé bí ẹni pé kí n fún yín lánàá ṣùgbọ́n mo gbàgbé. Ó sì dára tí n kò fún yín náà nítorí àkókò tí ẹ bá ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ jẹ irú oúnjẹ báyìí tán ni obì máa ń dùn láti fi pa ẹnu. Obì náà nìyí baálé mi, kí ẹ jọ̀ọ́ kí ẹ bá mi fi ọwọ́ bà á bẹ̀. Bí ó ti wí báyìí tán, ó fi obì náà lé ọba lọ́wọ́. Ṣùgbọ́n dípò kí òun jẹ, ó rọra fi pamọ́, ó sì ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé òun ti jẹ. Títí ilẹ̀ ọjọ́ náà ṣú, inú kò run ọba, nǹkan kan kò sì ṣe é. Ilẹ̀ ọjọ́ kejì tún mọ́ pẹ̀lú, àlàáfíà ni ó jẹ́. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ọ̀sẹ̀ kan pé síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ kókó ni ara ọba le. Nígbà tí ó ṣe, àwọn ìlú tún pe ìgbìmọ̀, wọ́n ránṣẹ́ sí ìyàwó ọba yìí, wọ́n sì bí ọ̀ràn náà bí ó ṣe rí bẹ́ẹ̀. Nígbà tí ó sì sọ bí òun ti ṣe fún ọba tán, ó wí pé, ẹ má ṣe rò pé mo jẹ́ tàn yín jẹ rárá. Mo fẹ́ kí ẹ mọ̀ pé kò sí nǹkan tí mo gbà lọ́wọ́ ọkùnrin náà láti ọjọ́ tí ó ti sọ pé òun fẹ́ mi. Ṣé ni tí ó bá rí mi lóde yóò máa rò pé òun ló ṣe nǹkan gbogbo fún mi. Irọ́ ni, bí ó ti lówó tó ní, kò lè fi pìnì bá ẹnikẹ́ni ṣeré. Ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ ìjẹ̀ka tí kò jẹ́ kí ẹ̀wù kú, ọpẹ́lọpẹ́ ìyá mi tí kò jẹ́ kí ibi yọ mí lójú jẹ. Bí kò bá sí ti ìyá mi, èmi ìbá máa rìn ní ìgboro ìlú báyìí, ṣinṣin bá máa kùn mí bí ajá. Ó láwọn ju ajá tó pọ̀ oúnjẹ sílẹ̀ tán tó tún padà kó jẹ. Bí ẹ sì ti ń wò ó gbádùn fàárí tó nǹkan. Ìgbà tí ó bá jàjà lọ sí ìlú onílùú, tí ó bá rí bí àwọn ayaba ti ń ṣe tán, á ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ dé, á máa ṣe kútákútá, á ní òun fẹ́ gé aṣọ fún mi. Olórí burúkú, ọlọ́run bùrùjà, àfi bí ẹ pé dandan ni. Ọ̀nà pípa rẹ̀ náà sì nìyí, kojú kékeré lọ. Bí ó bá ti di òru òní, tí gbogbo ènìyàn bá ti sùn tán, wọn ò dìde wọn ṣílẹ̀kùn ààfin sílẹ̀, kí ẹ yan àwọn akọni ọkùnrin 4 tí àwọn ti dà kí wọ́n wọlé. Yàrá tí ẹ bá ti rí tí fèrèsé rẹ̀ bá ṣí sílẹ̀, kí ẹ wọ̀ ọ́. Ibẹ̀ ni ọba wà. Ẹnikẹ́ni tí ẹ bá sì rí ní ibẹ̀, pípa ni kí ẹ pa. Báyìí ni obìnrin yìí sọ tí ó bá àwọn ará ìlú gbèrò. Ó ṣe ọkọ rẹ̀ torí owó. Kọ́lọ́run aláàánú má jẹ́ kí ẹnikẹ́ni nínú yín tí ẹ jẹ́ ọkùnrin bá irú obìnrin báyìí pàdé o. Ilé tí mò ń gbé wà nínú ààfin. Ó sì pẹ́ kí n tó gbọ́ ọ̀tẹ̀ tí àwọn ará ìlú dì yìí. Ṣùgbọ́n wéré tí mo gbọ́ ni mo ti dìde, ó di ilé ọba. Nígbà tí mo dé ẹ̀yìnkùlé ọba, ní ọ̀kánkán yàrá ibi tí òun àti ìyàwó burú yìí máa ń sùn, mo jókòó lé orí ilẹ̀, mò ń wò bóyá láìpẹ́ fèrèsé kan á ṣí sílẹ̀. Lóòótọ́ kò pẹ́ tí mo jókòó náà ni mo rí tí obìnrin yìí ṣí fèrèsé kan. Díẹ̀ ló tilẹ̀kùn kó gbá mi lórí. Lẹ́yìn èyí ó sì ṣí ilẹ̀kùn ẹnu ọ̀nà yàrá náà. Ó sì tún bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìṣí oríṣiríṣi àwọn ilẹ̀kùn bẹ́ẹ̀ gbogbo tí ó ní láti ṣí kí tó di pé ó jáde sí gbangba. Bí ó ti ń ṣe báyìí ni mò ń wò ó. Nígbà tí mo sì mọ̀ pé ó ti jáde tán, tí ó lọ sí ibi ilẹ̀kùn ńlá sí ẹnu ọ̀nà òde pátápátá, mo yára wọ inú yàrá ọba lọ, mo sì mo fà á lọ́wọ́. Bí ó sì ti wò mí lójú tí ó mọ̀ pé èmi ni, tí ó sì fẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀, mo jọ̀wọ́ sí kí ó dákẹ́. Mo sì fà á jáde, mo mú lọ sí ilé mi, mo ní kí ó sùn, ó sì ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀. Lẹ́yìn náà mo tún padà lọ sí yàrá rẹ̀, mo sì pa fèrèsé mi dé. Láìpẹ́ obìnrin yìí padà, ó sì lọ sí yàrá mìíràn lọ sùn. Nígbà tí ó pẹ́ díẹ̀ tí ó ti dé yàrá tí ó sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí hàn, mo rọra ṣí fèrèsé yàrá rẹ̀ sílẹ̀, mo bá tèmi lọ. Síbẹ̀síbẹ̀ n kò bá ilé mi lọ, mo rọra jókòó sí gẹrú kan báyìí tí wọ́n yọ sí ilé kan tí ń bẹ nínú ààfin. Láti ibẹ̀ ni mo sì lè rí òde gbangba. Mo jókòó àìjókòó náà ni mo rí àwọn 4 mi tí wọ́n wọlé tí àwọn sì dá wọn lọ́wọ́. Wọ́n bá ọ̀nà ilé ọba lọ. Èmi náà sì rọra dìde, mo yọ kẹ́lẹ́kẹ́lẹ́ tẹ̀lé wọn. Bí wọ́n ti rí fèrèsé tí ó ṣí sílẹ̀, ṣe ni wọ́n fò bẹ́ sínú ilé. Ẹyẹ ò sọkà, wọ́n sì ti pa obìnrin yìí. Wọ́n gé e wẹ́wẹ́ nírètí pé àwọn rí ẹ̀yìn ọba. Ṣùgbọ́n wọ́n purọ́ ni. Ẹni tí ó bá da irú ni ẹrú tọ̀. ẹni tí ó bá fa ọ̀ràn ni ọ̀ràn ibá, ẹni tí ó bá pè ìjà ni ìjà dá lọ́hùn. Ibi kò sì ní ṣàìgbẹ̀yìn ènìyàn búburú. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni obìnrin yìí kú bí ajá, tí ó sì ràdànù bí ọ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀, tí Olódùmarè sì gbé ọba rere ní ìlékè wọn. Gbogbo nǹkan tí mo ṣe ni kò yé ọba rárá. Òwúrọ̀ ọjọ́ kejì ni mo tó láàyè. Nígbà tí ó gbọ́, ẹ̀rù bà á púpọ̀. Ó fi ìyìn fún Ọlọ́run, ó sì dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ mi. Lẹ́yìn èyí ni mo sọ fún pé kí ó lọ wo obì ìjèlò bí ó bá ti rí i níbi tí ó fi sí. Nígbà tí ó sì dé ibẹ̀, obì yìí ti di odi ẹyin, ó rí kẹ̀ǹkẹ̀. Ìbá ṣe pé ọba lọ jẹ obì náà ni, bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ìbá ta ká inú rẹ̀ bí iṣu ni. Báyìí ni Ọlọ́run yọ ọba nínú ìjàmbá ìkejì yìí kí wọ́n tó tún gbé ẹ̀kẹta fún. Ẹranko búburú kan wà ní ìlú yìí. Ẹkùn wọn lójú kan ni. Ìgbàkúgbà ni ó máa ń yọ àwọn ará ìlú náà lẹ́nu. A máa pa wọ́n bí ó bá ti fẹ́. Bí ó sì ti wù kí wọ́n gbìyànjú àti pàtó, kò ní ṣeé ṣe. Nígbà tí ó ṣe, gbogbo ìlú dìmọ̀ lù. Wọ́n pe babaláwo jọ, wọ́n sì bá wọn di ọ̀tẹ̀ báyìí pé kí gbogbo àwọn babaláwo ìlú tọ̀ ọba lọ, kí wọ́n sì wí fún un pé kí ó lu agogo kí gbogbo àwọn ará ìlú péjọ sínú ọjà ní ọjọ́ kan, nítorí tí àwọn ní ọ̀rọ̀ kan sọ tí àwọn ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ gbọ́ láti ẹnu àwọn àjọ̀nú. Àti pé bí ọba bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ tí gbogbo ìlú bá pé tán, kí olórí àwọn babaláwo dìde kí ó sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí sọ fún àwọn ìlú, sọ báyìí pé ẹ kú ìjókòó ẹ̀yin èèyàn ìlú. Ọ̀rọ̀ nípa ẹkùn olójú kan yìí ni a pè yín sí, tí a ní kí a bá yín sọ. Àwọn àjọ̀nú sọ fún wa pé láìpẹ́ yìí pé bí a kò bá fẹ́ kí ẹranko náà yọ wá lẹ́nu mọ́, a ó ní láti pè yín jọ kí á tìkára wa mú ẹnìkan nínú yín lọ fún ẹranko náà pàjẹ́. Yóò wá jẹ́ pé olúwa rẹ̀ rú gbogbo ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ ìlú lọ, àti pé ẹni tí a ó bá mú lọ yìí yóò ní láti tìkára rẹ̀ sọ pé òun fẹ́ lọ. A kò gbọ́dọ̀ mú olúwa rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú agbára o. Àwọn àjọ̀nú sì tún wí fún wa pẹ̀lú pé bí a kò bá lè rí ẹnikẹ́ni tí ó lè ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ kù nítorí ìlú rẹ̀ láàrin yìí, bí a fẹ́ bí a kọ̀, a ní láti fi ọba wa ta ẹranko náà lọ́rẹ. Bí a kò bá sì tún lè ṣe léyìí ni wàyí o, dípò ẹranko kan, ẹranko méje ni yóò wá máa yọ wá lẹ́nu. 100 ìwo ni yóò sì máa wà ní orí ọ̀kọ̀ọ̀kan nínú wọn. Nítorí a fẹ́ kí ẹ gbọ́ ọ̀rọ̀ yìí náà la ṣe mú wá o. Ẹ gbé e yẹ̀ wò. Lóòótọ́ àwọn ará ìlú yìí ń di ọ̀tẹ̀ ńlá, wọ́n sì ń di rìkísí títóbi. Wọ́n gbàgbé pé ẹni tí Ọlọ́run kò bá mú, kò sí ẹni tí ó lè mú olúwa rẹ̀. Ẹ kò rí irú ọ̀rọ̀ tí wọ́n fi sí olórí babaláwo lẹ́nu. Wọ́n ti mọ̀ pé kò sí ọ̀nà tí ọba lè gbà yọ, nítorí ẹnikẹ́ni nínú wọn kò fi ojú kan àjọ̀nú. Kò sì sí ẹni tí ó lè dédé dìde lọ kú lásán. Bẹ́ẹ̀ ni gbogbo ìlú ló pé nígbà tí wọ́n ń pèrò yìí. Ó wá kù èmi, ó kù ọba, ó kù ìyàwó ọba kan, ó sì kù àwọn ọmọ ọba méjì pẹ̀lú ìránṣẹ́ rẹ̀ kan. Nígbà tí ó ṣe, àwọn babaláwo wọ̀nyí wá, wọ́n sì sọ̀rọ̀. Ọba sì ṣe bí wọ́n ti wí láì mọ èrò wọn. Ó pe àwọn ìlú jọ. Nígbà tí wọ́n jókòó tán, olórí babaláwo dìde, ó sì sọ̀rọ̀ bí àwọn ìlú ti fi sí lẹ́nu. Bí ó sì ti parí ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀ tán, ó béèrè bí ẹnikẹ́ni bá wà tí ó ṣetán láti fi ara rẹ̀ ta ikú lọ́rẹ. Ṣùgbọ́n ẹnìkan kò jáde ni. Wọ́n wo ara wọn lójú. Níkẹyìn ọba dìde, ó sì wí fún wọn pé níwọ̀n ìgbà tí kò ti sí ẹni tí ó lè fi ọwọ́ sọ àyà nítorí ọ̀ràn náà, òun ṣetán láti lọ kí ẹranko náà pa òun jẹ. Tayọ̀tayọ̀ ní gbogbo àwọn ará ìlú yìí fi gbà tí wọ́n sì bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí dúpẹ́ lẹ́yà lọ́wọ́ ọba. Mo rọ́jú kí ọba parí ọ̀rọ̀ rẹ̀. Bí ó sì ti jókòó ni mo dìde, mo sì wí báyìí pé kábíyèsí, ẹ kò ní kú ikú kan o. Èmi ni yóò dípò tí mo ṣetán láti lọ. Lóòótọ́ kọ́lọ́ máa ṣèyàn lórí àwọn tó máa dìtẹ̀ mọ́yàn. Kọ́lọ́ máa ṣèyàn ní ọba lórí àwọn tí wọn ò fẹ́ràn èèyàn. Nígbà tí odidi ìlú bá ń gbìmọ̀ àti pa ọba, ẹ rí i pé nǹkan ti le ṣùgbọ́n màá dáni dúró náà ni ò torí àsìkò ò ní gbà mí láàyè láti tún máa tẹ̀síwájú ṣùgbọ́n ó di dandan kí n tẹ̀síwájú lọ́sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ nítorí mo gbọ́dọ̀ mọ tàbí gbogbo wa gbọ́dọ̀ mọ ohun tí ó ṣẹlẹ̀ báwọn ará ìlú gan ṣe rí ìhà tí wọ́n kọ sí bí Àkàràgún ṣe sọ wípé òun ò lọ dípò ọba títà fi wá di ọ̀sẹ̀ tó ń bọ̀ náà ńkọ́ ẹ máa ṣe jẹ́jẹ́ bí mo ṣe máa ń sọ àlàáfíà Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ máa bá wa gbé o títí ìgbà náà ńkọ́ ó dàbọ̀ náà.
ẹ kú kàlẹ̀ ń bẹ̀ òun ọkùnrin obìnrin ọmọdé àti àgbà olólùfẹ́ yín ìbùkún olúwa ọmọ Sànúsí tí ẹ mọ̀ sí Àpèkẹ́ tún dé pẹ̀lú àrà ọ̀tọ̀ àlọ́ tó kún fún ọgbọ́n òye àti ọ̀rọ̀ ìjìnlẹ̀ Yorùbá ẹ máa bá wa ká lọ àṣà Yorùbá ọmọ nípa
In Christ alone, my hope was strong. He is my life, my strength, my song. His cornerstone, the solid ground. Firm to the fiercest droughts and storm. What night of love, what depth of peace, where fears are stilled, where strife is ceased. My comforter, my all in all. In the love of Christ, I stand. In Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of body, endless pain, this gift of love and righteousness. So like you want, He came to stay. Sin on the cross and Jesus dead, the right of God was justified. For everything on Him was great. Yeah, in the death of Christ, I live. Òrìṣà bí aṣọ wọn yálà lágbàro. Sweet mother. Òrìṣà bí aṣọ wọn yálà lágbàro. Màmá tó gbé mi sínú fóṣù mẹ́sàn-án tó pọ́n mi sẹ́yìn fọ́dún mẹ́ta ó gbìyànjú kí lè jẹ́ ènìyàn dáyé ti wá ọjọ́ tó pé bí mọ́nú torí kí lè jẹ́ kí lè gbọ́ṣọ́ ó ṣalátìlẹ́yìn mi torí kí lè jẹ́ ènìyàn Olúwa ó ṣe ìyá níyà mi ìyá lálábẹ̀rù èjìká tí ọjà ṣọwọ́ jábọ́ ẹ̀dá mi kí màmá mi abiyamọ.
Thank you and welcome to today's program right here on OY Media Scotland. Right now on the news highlights, we'll be taking some couple of news that have come up during the week. And coming straight on from here is regarding COVID. Quite a number of the report we'll be bringing up today will be about COVID. And on this one, coming straight from BBC, you have COVID, no deportation risk for illegal migrants getting vaccination. Right, coming right on the second report, still on COVID-19, 10-year jail term for travel lies defended. That's also from BBC. And right on immigration, Priti Patel attacks Black Lives Matter protest as dreadful and criticizes taking the bow. That's all the way from the Independent. And the ones that will be coming last will be about the NSAS protesters that were arrested in Nigeria by the Nigerian government. Right. COVID, no deportation risk for illegal migrants getting vaccination. If you'll be following news during the week, the government is offering illegal migrants in the UK free vaccine. People were directed to register with the GP, but of course, there were concerns by the illegal or unlawful immigrants that they could be profiled through such registration and deported because of their status. And the report now is coming at the backdrop of that. People living in the UK unlawfully won't be risking deportation by coming forward for a coronavirus jab, the government has said. Ministers say they want everyone to get vaccinated and are urging illegal immigrants to register with a GP. The vaccine is free regardless of a person's immigration status. However, the policy is not an amnesty for immigrants, and no one will be given leave to remain in the UK as a result of being vaccinated. Of course, that comes straight from our BBC under the caption, COVID, no deportation risk for illegal migrants getting vaccinated. Right, and the second one comes under COVID-19, as earlier said, 10-year jail term for travel lies defended. A maximum 10-year jail term for lying about recent travel history has been defended by the government. Transport Secretary Grant Shapps said the British public will expect pretty strong action, and the maximum sentences reflect the seriousness of the crime. It was criticized by former Supreme Court Judge Lord Sumption, who said lower tariffs exist for sex offenses. From Monday, people arriving in England from red list countries must isolate for 10 days in hotels, costing $1,750. It follows concerns that existing vaccines being rolled out in the UK may struggle to control new virus variants identified around the world. Meanwhile, Mr. Shapps said people should not be booking holidays either in the UK or abroad, and that it was too soon for sun seekers to plan getaways. I mean, that comes straight on from BBC under COVID-19. 10-year jail time for travel lies defended. Right, straight on from the Independent paper, we've got this caption: Priti Patel attacks Black Lives Matter protest as dreadful and criticizes taking the knee. Asks if she would drop her knee, Home Secretary says, no, I would not. There are other ways in which people can express their opinions. Priti Patel has criticized sports stars who take the knee and attack last year's Black Lives Matter protest as dreadful. Asked if she will adopt the symbol of injustice, the Home Secretary said, no, I would not. There are other ways in which people can express their opinions. In an explosive interview, Ms. Patel also refused to express confidence in Metropolitan Police Commissioner Cressida Dick, saying she does a lot of great work, but that there were questions about her. At one point, she appeared to say she did not support protests at all, before clarifying she opposed the BLM demonstrations that swept the country last summer, saying those protests were dreadful. That comes from Independent newspaper under the caption, Priti Patel attacks Black Lives Matter protests as dreadful and criticizes taking the knee. Right, and on Nigeria, and this has to do with the government-sponsored arrest of the peaceful protesters, the End SARS protests. If you've been following report, last year there was a massive gathering at the Lagos toll gate where people protested the indiscriminate arrests and injustices and unfairness by the Nigerian police force that is named SARS. The protest has come back on because the government, the Lagos state government, attempted to reopen the toll gate. We have some couple of voice video here where I would just quickly play right on for us.
Nigeria state refused to get that they have failed. Now they are arresting people. Wait, they are arresting us indiscriminately. On what basis are you arresting me? On what basis? On what basis?
Yeah, that is one of the protesters that was arrested, saying that the government has refused to accept that Nigeria has become a failed state. Of course, also, we have the popular comedian called Mr. Macaroni. He was arrested as well, but he's been released on bail, as well as the other protesters. Information that we have had it that Reno or Mockery actually secured their bail through a popular activist son in Nigeria. We'll quickly get a bit of his own part, because we also have him right on here talking to people about his experience.
Situation that we are in this country, so I want to thank everyone out there, for speaking up. I want to thank everyone for the show of love. My phones are bad, so I can't even really take calls or reply messages and all that. But I'm here. I'm in my house. I'm okay. So, and I also just want to address one or two things, about the recent events. It's not like, don't be saying I'm a brave person, you understand? No, don't be saying I'm brave. In fact, I was scared. I was very scared. I didn't want to go out at all. My father called me, all my siblings, my family members, everyone called me, my friends, don't go out. And in all honesty, in my heart of hearts, I did not want to go out, But the only reason I went there is because I knew that people would be there. And in good conscience, I don't know. I knew people would die. I knew people would die. People would die again. And I saw it. I can confirm to you that if word did not get out, people would have died because nobody would have known where anybody was or who picked up who and all of that. In fact, I was a lucky face one first. I was about shooting. That's to tell you that I didn't really want to go because I was scared. And I don't think anyone should be talking about maybe celebrities came out or they did not come out. No. The situation that we are in this country is deep shit. You cannot blame anyone. People are scared. You think I'm not scared? People are scared for their lives. And we know that we're in a government that has zero value for human lives. Like they don't care at all. They will kill anybody. They will dehumanize anybody just to make sure that what they want to do, just to make sure that they do it. So this is not the time to be saying, oh, where are the celebrities? Oh, where are the rest? Oh, where are these? We don't need all of that. All we need is one love, one unity. We need to come together to speak against what is going on in our society. That's that.
And that is the message from Mr. Macaroni, that people need to come together to speak against the Nigerian government, which according to him, and of course several other people, that the government does not value the lives of the citizen. The government has failed in its basic and first duty to secure lives and properties. And on that note, we'll be ending this part. Please do join us on the other side when we will be taking on our other program, which is Consciousness, and we'll be speaking on the Yoruba referendum discussion. Thank you for joining us again today. I have our guest, that is Mr. Femi Odedeyi, as usual, on our program. And we'll still be talking about Yoruba referendum. You are most welcome to the program, sir.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Right, we are here to see you on your video. Okay, now
Yes.
we have you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you are most welcome again to the program. For the purpose of those people that are joining us today, I mean, we've been having this for quite a while, but for people that are just joining, maybe at the beginning of the month, who is Mr. Femi Odedeyi?
Well, Mr. Femi Odedeyi is also Alagba Femi Odedeyi, and a global Yoruba citizen, a Yoruba African, who is also interested in making his own, that is my own contribution, towards the emancipation of Yoruba people worldwide, and not only Yoruba people, because the emancipation of Yoruba people is also the emancipation of other peoples that have been suppressed by direct colonialism and now indirect colonialism. And I, by the grace of God, have been very fortunate to be part of several moves in that direction. I'm not the only one. There are other individuals that are also involved. And I'm very thankful that we are, despite all the pandemic and the issues of life, we are still alive to ensure that we pursue the assignment that we have come to the earth to do. That is, we are in particular, as Black people, We have been in over 400 years of slavery and colonization. And in the process, our humanity was destroyed. So what we are doing is an attempt to reclaim that lost humanity. And like you said in your statement about the Lekki thing and stuff, that, you know, when the state, a country, does not recognize the human dignity of its citizens, that state is not it's not only a failed state, it's not a state, it's just a government of power. It's not a state. A state is meant to mediate intra and intersocial contradictions that will allow for peaceful development of the community. But when the state is in a retrogressive mode, it's no longer a state. It is just a question of absolute power grab. And that is what we are witnessing in Nigeria today. So in a nutshell, Mr. Feb.2021 is just like you and any other Yoruba person out there. And we trust that our efforts will not be in vain.
Okay, thank you very much for that. I believe that you must have been following the happenings in Nigeria. The last time we were here on this same program with yourself, it was the Sunday Igboho and the people of Igangan town. But after that part, the next one was around Ogun State, where we also heard that the Fulani herders were killing people, just as been reported in many parts of the country. But beyond that, we've also had some of the leaders in the country making statements, with the latest being the Bauchi State Governor, Bala Muhammad, justifying the Fulani herdsmen carrying guns. I know that you will still bring us back to the need for a referendum in order for people, each people, not the whole nation, but each nationalities within Nigeria to actually say what they want, rather than most of the representatives we've sent across, that they seem to just be taking care of themselves. So with all these reports of what is happening in Nigeria, and with this statement coming from people that are considered to be leaders and elders from the north, justifying the carrying of weapons, of course, illegally, by the herdsmen, what are your opinions? And where do you think, if nothing is done, this type of narrative could lead the nation to?
Well, let me start from the end. Where it will lead, if nothing is done, is just the entrenchment of a hegemony, what I will call Fulani hegemony. It is part of there's a political concept called Lebensraum, which Hitler used in justifying the start of the Second World War. What it meant was that Hitler and the Nazi Party were looking for a what they call a breathing space. They needed land. They needed some kind of space, and they had to now take over other people's land. Now, Hitler's was a state. He was the chancellor of the German state. In our own case, we have a Nigerian state consistently being controlled by the Fulani right from independence. Now, we had direct Fulani control in the First Republic through the NPC. Then, after the anti-Ironsi coup in 1966, we had them through the various military regimes up until the present. So what is happening is that Nigeria is being recarved, is being remolded in the image of a hegemony from the north, which is controlled by the specifically the Fulani hegemony. So at the end of the day, when they start the narrative that all that is happening and these they are criminals, they are this, they are that, without identifying where those criminals are coming from, despite the fact that each criminal has an origin. It's not just a criminal because he or she is a criminal. There's a criminality attached to a particular mode of production. There's a criminality attached to pastoralism. So when they now remove that pastoralism and the origin and the ethno-national origin of pastoralism and just regard it as a criminal, what they are saying is that you have those they call Yahoo boys in Lagos, Ibadan, all the rest, they are criminals. Yeah. And they are not, well, they are criminals because they are violating the law, but they are not going about killing people as such. No, there are some of them that are doing that. Now, you now have another group of people that are not only going about with illegal arms, but they are not only killing or kidnapping people, they are also destroying the economic life of a community. Because when you send your cows or whatever into the farmland to destroy it, you are not only destroying the farmer, that individual farmer, you are destroying the economy of the environment. Meanwhile, whether whoever owns the cattle is not even the point, because they are saying there are Yoruba people that own cattle and employ Fulani. Why is it that Fulani are the ones employed to run the cattle? Ṣé kò sí Yoruba tó lè run cattle? So when an economic pattern is directly linked to a nationality, either for cultural or economic reasons, it's no longer a question of simple criminality. It is a question of dominance because they want to destroy another people. So when a governor goes about justifying that, it just shows you that the Nigerian state itself is the one that is behind everything. Because one, for a governor from the ruling party, who is also from the same nationality as the president, who is also of the same nationality as all these marauders all over the place, for him to be saying that without being cautioned or being called to order by the presidency, that shows there's a collusion between them. So you have a political scenario that is unfolding that will now say, well, we are all quote unquote Nigerians. There's no nationality. So by definition, you can't say you are Yoruba because it's irrelevant. If I'm a farmer, I'm just a farmer. Why am I a farmer? Is it because I'm Yoruba or because I'm Nigerian or because there's an economic reason for me to be a farmer? And why am I the type of farmer that I am? If it has something to do with the economy that is around my area. The farmers in the north are direct beneficiaries of the river basin authorities that were created by the military. So they had farm irrigation and all the rest of it. When they say there is armed banditry in the north, these bandits, these so-called bandits in the north, do not attack large-scale farming in the north. But all the produce, all the agricultural produce that are being brought from the north to the south, are mostly produced by these large-scale farms. Okay. So when they destroy your own farmland through their cattle, but they leave their own farmland, so they are already waging an economic war against the people in the south. So the question now is, well, they say there's asymmetrical warfare and all the rest of it. When they mention asymmetrical warfare, people tend to think in terms of guerrilla warfare, military tactics. But you see, asymmetrical warfare goes beyond that. It can be economic, it can be military, and it can be political, and then a combination of that. I was having a discussion with a friend some time ago, and this is not about Fulani alone, because again, what we Yoruba have to look at is what is our position, what is the situation we find ourselves in Nigeria, which again leads to the referendum issue. Now, that friend was telling me that he had an Igbo friend. They were working together. And the Igbo man said, "Why are you wasting your time?" That he was smuggling arms to Nigeria. How was he doing it? He was doing it by disassembling them and putting them in bags of rice and all the kind of stuff they ship to Nigeria. So when they get to Nigeria, their allies just get them and they assemble them back again. So in a sense, the Igbo are already arming themselves. And we saw the impact during the Lekki crisis last year, and the way Lagos was attacked, and the way the whole thing went about. So we are faced, the Igbo and the Yoruba are faced with an onslaught from the north, but the Yoruba are faced with the onslaught from the north and the east. So it's like a special thing, special left, center, and right. So we are in the center, and the left and the right are trying to squeeze us. And of course, in the process of squeezing us, they can conflict with each other, but they can always reach an agreement because they have a joint common enemy. So the destruction and the neutralization of Yoruba land is the price that both the East and the North are taking from looking for in Nigeria. And that is the danger that we are faced with. And that is the battle we have to face and we have to fight. So when someone like that, Bala something, the governor says something like that, he is just saying, he's repeating what his own forebears have said. Ahmadu Bello said they are going to dip the Quran into the sea. And then they created Ahmadu Bello Way, right by the Atlantic Ocean. Then they had a Fulani as the Minister for Lagos Affairs. Can you believe that? They had I think his name was Musa Yadra or something like that, the Minister for Lagos Affairs. So it's a political process that that started right from the pre-independence period. Because the assault on our intelligence that this guy made, this governor, is so. It's very clear for everybody that there's no longer. We can't be sitting down with such cannibals in power. That's who they are.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Viewers, we'll still be back. We're still with Alagba Femi Odedeyi. We'll be right back. Thank you for staying on with us. We're still with Alagba Femi Odedeyi from Yoruba Referendum Committee. Now, one question that the people have kept on asking is this. We have politicians who are considered to be our representatives that are in the party-linked government. We also have politicians as our representatives in the opposition. And people are asking, are these people, is it that they can't do anything? Whereas we know that in every democracy, the opposition, even the opposition is meant to be quite very strong to serve as a check and balance to the ruling party. But we have people in the ruling party from Yoruba land. We have people that are also in the opposition. So people are asking, does it mean that the combination of all our representatives, they can't do anything? with these murderous activities from the Fulani herders?
Yeah, well, the thing is, they are powerless. That is, I mean, it's in two parts. Let's look at it from two angles. One, their political ascendancy or their political positions is dependent on their fidelity to those in power in the center. And this is what I mean by that. That whether, let's say, you want to contest for an office in Yoruba land Senate or any other office, now you are operating within a quote unquote pan-Nigerian political party. The control of that pan-Nigerian political party does not reside among Yoruba people, let's say in the West, for example. It resides in the party bureaucracy that is controlled by Abuja. A very telling example, although not in Yoruba land, but it's close, in Middle Belt, how Yaya Bello became the governor of Kogi State. When the winner of the election, who was in APC, died shortly before, I think immediately after the election, the deputy governorship candidate, who is James Faleke or somebody, who is supposed to take over the leadership, was neutralized, and someone who didn't even participate in the primaries was brought in and made governor. So the ability of the people in a region to control the political process is already truncated by the nature of the political system that is in operation. So it is the manipulation in Abuja, the center, that will determine the outcome of any election in any Yoruba state. Let's just confine it to Yoruba like that. So in that sense, because the politicians themselves, most of them, they are looking for power. They are looking for power, and I dare say, because this is the time to lack originality of ideas. They lack purpose. So they take anything that comes and then use it to get power. How can somebody say they want to run for office now in this present time, aside from the crisis and all that? There's no idea that they are pursuing. Empowerment, I bought motorcycle for my constituents. I bought rice for them. I bought sewing machines for them. Are these issues of development? So they lack critical thinking. That is one. But it is not even their problem. It is the problem of the intellectuals in our society. So when the intellectuals intervene, we have a lot of them as columnists and newspaper editors and this and that, opinion holders and stuff like that. They fail to bring what is happening in alignment with their knowledge. They know these things cannot bring development. All these sewing machines and the motorcycles and all the rest that they are saying, they claim they are empowering people. Even the whole concept of empowerment is a false concept, but that's a different question. So when an economist or a philosopher in a university wants to address the issue, they will not even bring their academic or intellectual knowledge to bear on the issue at hand. So because of that disconnect, the politician gets away with blue murder. So when a politician cannot understand the dynamics of economic development or even political development, what do you expect him to do when there is a crisis? They will be running around like a headless chicken, which is what they are doing now. Now, the few of them that still have their heads on their shoulders, they are also in a bind because, of course, you have a political party. You can't impose yourself on them. You have to tend to different tendencies and all that. And in the process, you get weakened. So because you get weakened, you are just part of, it's like what this guy did in Ondo State now. Akeredolu. Okay, they banned open grazing and all that. It had been done in Ekiti when Fayose was there, when they banned open grazing. So even all this open grazing and things should not even be an issue to be debated now. It is simply the law of the land, and anybody that contravenes it must be punished. Simple. So, but when people now start analyzing it and then start talking about citizenship and we are living together in peace and all that, they have left the law and they are now just being emotional about it. No, but if you are a citizen, you are supposed to be responsible for your society. You can't be a citizen and be destroying crops and call yourself a responsible citizen. And nobody is being so. That is one. Then the other part of it is that we the people. Let me use that expression. We the people. In the life of a people or a nation, there are times of crisis. There are times of development. During the anti-colonial period, I believe the Awolowo group also went into the same crisis after the failure of the Nigerian youth movement. And then they said, okay, where do we go from here? Then they gathered together and then formed the action group, and then the rest is history, as they said. And they went and made sure that they looked at the political situation and ensure that they organize themselves in such a manner that they won the regional party election. It was only the action group that was even talking about federalism at that time, because they said we are a multi-ethnic, multinational, multicultural environment. All the Azikiwe and all the rest of them, they are just blabbing about Pakistanization, Balkanization without even knowing what it means. Although Zik should have known what it meant. But that's a different story. So what we are saying now is that the way we find ourselves now, it is now time. This is another part of a low bar, a low point in Yoruba life. Yoruba nationality, that this is a low point, and we can trace the history. When the likes of Chief Obasanjo and all the rest of them were gallivanting all over the place, talking about Nigeria and destroying Afenifere, destroying this, destroying that. When he started the African Democratic Party or something like that, the only place he took place was among the Yoruba people. Natalo tell one from the north. So what we are saying is so we have now reached a low point in Yoruba land. So the issue of our representatives there being able to do anything, the simple fact that they are there means they can't do anything. One, the fact that they are there also means that they can be pushed to do certain things. If they now refuse to do it, then that is where we know we have to take the thing a step ahead. So the question is not for us to wait for them to do something. You are a senator now, you should do this. When they give their report, they will start talking about how many sewing machines they have bought, how many things they have done, and all kinds of crap. So it is now left for Yoruba people in general to now, and the way things are going, that is where it is. When you talk of Igangan, you talk of Ibarapa, you talk of Yewa, you talk of everybody. So that means there's a vacuum. I won't say a leadership vacuum. There is a political vacuum that needs to be filled. And that vacuum has to do with our existentialism. It has to do with our existence. So that if, and they say nature abhors a vacuum. So if we, the people, do not fill that vacuum, all these Fuladidis or Igbo and that we are talking about, they will fill that vacuum. So the problem is not only on the politicians or the political leaders, but on us, we the people. That is, we the Yoruba people. I don't know about other people, but we the Yoruba people, that is we are it is now is no longer a question of whether you are a political leader or you are a politician. You are simply a Yoruba person. And me, that is not an official, not an elected official, I'm also a Yoruba person. So the fate of Yoruba society is in our hands. And it is those of us that are able to see it and fill that vacuum that will push Yoruba land in the right direction. And it is not the sole responsibility of anybody elected or not elected, but for we the people in Yoruba land.
Thank you very much, sir. Ẹ ṣeun gan. Kí a tó wá padà wá síbi ọ̀rọ̀ referendum yìí,
Yes.
ìbéèrè kan wà tí mo máa béèrè, and the purpose of that question òun náà ni pé kí ó dà ní pé àwọn èèyàn kọ̀ọ̀kan wà tí wọn ò tí ì mọ how deep we are in the sort of trouble tí ó jẹ́ pé wà nílẹ̀ Yorùbá at the moment. But we'll get back after this short break. Avias, please do stay on with us. We'll be right back. Yeah, welcome back. We're still on with Alàgbà Fẹ́mi Ọ̀dẹ́dẹ́yì. Ọ̀rọ̀ lórí Yorùbá referendum òun náà ni à ń sọ. Ẹ káàbọ̀ padà sir.
Ẹ ṣé sir, ẹ ṣé gan sir.
Màá mú eléyìí, màá sọ ní Yorùbá lórí àwọn èèyàn wa náà tí wọ́n ń wò wá ní ilé. A ní ká pín sí bí ọ̀nà méjì bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni kó lè yé wa láti ọ̀tún àti òsì, torí àwọn tí ó wà ní tí wọn ò sí ní Nàìjíríà tí wọ́n wà ní àwọn ibòmíì tí wọ́n jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá. A ní àwọn èèyàn ní Brazil, ní Togo, ní gbogbo ẹ̀. So ká rọra mú láwẹ́láwẹ́ kó lè jọra wọn bí ẹ̀yin àti now àwọn òfin tí wọ́n pè ní state laws tí wọ́n pass ní State of Assembly ní irú mention Èkìtì ní abala títẹ̀ tí a parí. Ní Ọ̀yọ́ náà wọ́n ti ṣe àwọn òfin yẹn tí a dẹ̀ rí pé bí wọ́n ṣe ṣe òfin yẹn tó, àwọn Fúlàní darandaran àti darandaran,
àwọn darandaran,
òfin yẹn wọn ò bí ẹni pé kò tiẹ̀ kàn wọ́n ni. Irú gómìnà ìpínlẹ̀ Ondo, Ọ̀gbẹ́ni Akérédolú, tó tún di pé òfin báyà tí wọ́n ti ṣe tẹ́lẹ̀ wọ́n tó ń ṣe, tí a dẹ̀ rí wípé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ó ti fi hàn gbangba wípé a lè fi ẹ̀ṣọ́ ìjọba àpapọ̀ a lè fi ṣọ́lé. A ti rí ní gbangba wípé kì ń ò ṣe tiwa pàápàá, pẹ̀lú àwọn ìròyìn tá à ń gbọ́ pé even àwọn bòròrò tí wọ́n ní àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn mú, tí wọ́n mú lọ sí tí wọ́n mú àwọn ọlọ́pàá wọ́n tún wá arrest Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn, àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn tún arrest àwọn Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn débi pé wọ́n ti ẹ̀tún yìnbọn mọ́ ìkan lẹ́sẹ̀, níbi tí àwọn yòókù ti ń ṣìpẹ̀ pé kún ó fi wọ́n sílẹ̀ sí àmì iṣẹ́ wọn tí ìlú ní kún ó ṣe ni wọ́n ń ṣe. Tí mo wá fẹ́ béèrè ní pé bó ṣe ń lọ yìí, a rí pé àwọn èèyàn bíi Olóyè Sunday Igboho, àwọn yẹn ń jáde láti gbèjà àwọn èèyàn wọn. Bó bá ṣe ń lọ báyìí, ṣé tí a bá ṣe nǹkan sí bó ṣe ń lọ báyìí tó bá jẹ́ pé àwọn èèyàn ń dìde, àmọ́ ìpá àwọn kan wà tí wọ́n máa dìde bẹ́ẹ̀ láti gba àwọn èèyàn wọn, táwọn ọlọ́pàá tún máa mú tí wọ́n á tì mọ́lé. Àwọn kan wà bóyá bí irú Olóyè Sunday Igboho, àmọ́ tí àwọn fi sórí, àwọn kankan wà táwọn ń ṣe tí ó máa mú jẹ. Ó ṣeé ṣe kí àwọn èèyàn kọ̀ọ̀kan náà bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní dìde, kí wọ́n bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí ní gbèjà. Ó ṣeé ṣe ká ẹ ti gbọ́ nípa ohun tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní Ṣáṣá nìbàdàn láàrin àwọn Yorùbá àti àwọn Haúsá, débi pé wọ́n ń para wọn, wọ́n ń jólé, wọ́n ń ṣe kíní. Tí ìjọba àpapọ̀ sì ṣe tí wọn ò sì gbé ìgbésẹ̀ tó yẹ kí wọn ó gbé, ṣùgbọ́n a rí àwọn end SARS protest ní Èkó, tari àwọn ọlọ́pàá tí wọ́n kó síbẹ̀ wípé kí àwọn yóò má bàa lè ṣe ìwọ́de tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe. Bí ìjọba ò bá wá ṣe nǹkan kan tí ó ń gbè lẹ́yìn àwọn ọ̀daràn báyìí, tó sì jẹ́ pé àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n wò pé a lè káwọ́ gbéra kí ìyò máa jẹ àwọn èèyàn wa, ṣé bá a ṣe ń bá lọ yìí, ṣé ìlú ò lè dàrú, ṣé ò lè di ogun ó dìjà?
Òun náà la ti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn. Lákọ̀ọ́kọ́, àwọn òfin tẹ́ ní ó wà nílẹ̀ yẹn, purpose òfin ni pé ẹni tó bá ṣe òfin òun láti ní agbára láti implement ẹ̀, láti mú ṣẹ.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Gbogbo àwọn governments tá ní wọn ò lágbára kankan láti mú òfin yẹn ṣẹ. Wọ́n ṣòfin yẹn lóòótọ́, open grazing gbogbo ẹ̀ àti gbogbo ẹ̀, but tán bá kò sí ilé ẹjọ́ tó jẹ́ tiwa tó lè dá ẹjọ́ fún wọn. Gbogbo wọn ní state high court o, wọ́n ní federal high court o, wọ́n ní kinní o, ìjọba àpapọ̀ ló ń control ẹ̀. In other words, a ní ọlọ́pàá, a ní ètò ìdájọ́ tiwa tá a lè sọ pé tó bá ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ báyìí o, nǹkan tá a máa ṣe fún ẹ rèé. A níyẹn. Nǹkan tá a fi ń sọ̀rọ̀ pé a nídìí ìjọba tiwantiwa nìyẹn lórí rẹ̀, wípé tá a bá ṣòfin a ń láti nílé ẹjọ́ àti ilé òfin tí a máa gbé wọn lọ, kì í ṣe tíjọba àpapọ̀ máa lọ́wọ́ sí, nítorí pé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ló ń ṣe gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ ẹjọ́ òfin tó wà nílẹ̀ nísìnyí, ló ṣe ń jẹ́ kí gbogbo ẹ̀ rí bẹ́ẹ̀. That's why even kì í ṣọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀rọ̀ state police kan mò ń sọ yìí, kì í ṣe pé ká kàn ní state police, mò ń sọ̀rọ̀ judicial system tó máa encompass police àti legal àti gbogbo infrastructure yẹn, tó máa jẹ́ pàwọ́ la ní, so that ẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tó bá ṣẹ̀ wọ́n á dájọ́ ẹ̀ according to òfin wa tó wà nílẹ̀, a nídìí Àbújá kankan láti dá sí. So gbogbo àti Nigeria police o àti federal high court àti gbogbo ẹ̀ kan máa kó lọ sí Àbújá wọn. Ìyẹn ló fà á tó ṣe jẹ́ pé tá a bá ní ìjọba àpapọ̀ ò ṣe nǹkan kan, àti ìsojú abẹ́ ń kò tó, torí wọ́n ń ṣe nǹkan, òun lẹ́jẹ̀ ti sọ yẹn. Ní ti EndSARS yẹn, àwọn ọ̀rá ọlọ́pàá tán kú lọ síbẹ̀ láti lọ dá wọn dúró. Ní àwọn tó ń jẹ oko káàkiri, wọn ọ̀rọ̀ ọlọ́pàá tó máa lọ dá wọn dúró. Ó dẹ̀ ti ṣẹlẹ̀ tipẹ́ ní ọ̀dọ̀ wa tó jẹ́ pé táwọn olóko bá lọ report fáwọn ọlọ́pàá wípé àwọn oko ń jẹ kinní kan, àwọn tó lọ report la ọlọ́pàá máa mú, wọn ò ní fọwọ́ kan wọn. Ó ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀ tipẹ́tipẹ́. So ìjọba tó rọ̀yàn lọ sí Lẹ́kì, òun náà níjọba tí ó ní ọlọ́pàá tó mú àwọn ará oko. So ó mì ní pé ìjọba yẹn ní purpose tó fi ń lo ọlọ́pàá. Ìyẹn mo ṣe ní àti ìsojú abẹ́ ń kò tó. Nǹkan tí wọ́n fẹ́ ṣe náà ni wọ́n ń ṣe yẹn, pé kán disempower àwọn èèyàn, so input ara wọn lé gbogbo ìlú lórí. So nígbà tí ẹ bá ti ní ọlọ́pàá tó ń mú Àmọ̀tẹ́kùn, tó ń mú ẹni tó jẹ́ victim, tó wá sọ victim di criminal, ṣe mọ̀ pé ìyẹn ó ti ṣó ibi tí ìjọba yẹn wà, kò ní ilé ẹjọ́ kankan. So nǹkan tá a ṣe ń sọ nìyẹn pé ọ̀rọ̀ security àti justice ó ní í ṣe pẹ̀lú political power. Kì dẹ̀ ń ṣe political power Àbújá, political power tara wa, pé nǹkan tá a fẹ́ fúnra wa leléyìí. So infrastructure justice yẹn àti security yẹn àwa la máa ní. So ṣe ká ní irú ẹ̀ ṣẹlẹ̀ ni, tí ẹnìkan bá lọ joko olóko tán bá mú, àwọn tó mú yẹn náà ni ọlọ́pàá ilẹ̀, àwọn náà máa gbé lọ sílé ẹjọ́. Wọn ò ní ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ mú kán ní wọ́n lọ fi rìpọ́ọ̀tù fún ànọ́dá ọlọ́pàá, kánọ́dá ọlọ́pàá ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ tí wọ́n á bẹ̀rẹ̀ iṣẹ́ lórí ẹ̀. So tá a bá máa ní ọlọ́pàá tiwa, ọlọ́pàá tó mú yàn náà ló máa gbé lọ sílé ẹjọ́, ilé ẹjọ́ tá a ti fà sílẹ̀ ní. So tán bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ nínú situation yẹn, a fẹ́ ní state police, a fẹ́ ní kinní kan, as long as tí state police yín ò bá lágbára àti dájọ́, kì í ṣe pé kán mú kán dẹ̀ dájọ́ lójú ẹsẹ̀, kán mú lọ sílé ẹjọ́ tiwọn.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
Tó jẹ́ pé nígbà tẹ́ bá mú ọ̀daràn tán, tẹ́ bá mú dáràn tó ń dáràn kan tán ẹ ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa gbé lọ sí ọ̀dọ̀ ànọ́dá ọlọ́pàá yẹn ló ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ máa wá lóun ṣe kinní kan tí ní justice. Ó dìgbà tí a bá bẹ̀rẹ̀ pé ọlọ́pàá ti wà lélẹ̀ tó bá dẹ̀ ti múyàn ilé ẹjọ́ tó mú lọ lélẹ̀. Ìyẹn ni n tó ń pè ní justice yẹn. Ìyẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ ìyẹn ni tí mo fi ń sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan nìyẹn pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà ńlẹ̀ yìí kì í ṣe pé kákan máa wà emotional lórí ẹ̀. Yes, òótọ́ ni irú àwọn Ìgbòho gbogbo wọn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n lè máa dìde wọ́n lè máa ṣe kinní but ká tún wá rántí pé ṣe rẹ̀ pé ìjà tí àwọn irú ìjà tán bá ń bájà irú ti ṣáṣá àti gbogbo ẹ̀ yẹn àṣekára wa jà ni wọn ò tí ì fọwọ́ kan ìjọba. A lọ sílé Sẹ́ríkì kan a lọ lé dànù ọlọ́pàá wà ń bẹ̀ sọ́jà wà ń bẹ̀ irú ìtàn ṣe lóògùn state ńjọ́ yẹn àwọn sọ́jà ló líìdì àwọn dáràn yẹn wọ inú ìlú. So until tá bá neutralize àwọn sọ́jà àtàwọn ọlọ́pàá tó gbé ìjọba yẹn ró àti ìjàjà kankan. Now mi ò wá sọ pé káwọn èèyàn lọ gbébọn kan lọ bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí pa àwọn ọlọ́pàá àbáwọn sọ́jà òun kan explain situation yẹn ni. Tí n bá rí Fúlàní kan lóko mi tí mo nà lẹ́gba tí mo pàdánù kò tí ì solve problem tó wà ńlẹ̀ nítorí pé òfin tó gbèrò tó jẹ́ kí Fúlàní yẹn láyà àti máa ṣe nǹkan tó ṣe ó sì wà ńlẹ̀. Fúlàní tó máa láyà pé irú ìtẹníbàlá gọ́vnà yẹn ń sọ yẹn kò sí nǹkan tí wọ́n lè ṣe nítorí pé ìjọba wà lẹ́yìn wọn wọ́n dẹ̀ mọ̀ pé ìjọba wà lẹ́yìn wọn. So tí ìmọ̀ràn tí máa gbarú àwọn Ìgbòho àti gbogbo wọn yẹn ni pé yes immediate problem tá a ní àwọn dáràn yìí but problem tó jẹ́ kí dáràn yẹn wà ìyẹn gan ni major problem wa. So èèyàn ò lè sọ pé ká má defend ara wa ká má ṣe kinní kan but ká mọ̀ pé ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà ńlẹ̀ kì í ṣe pé ká kàn máa bá Fúlàní jà àbí máa bá Ìgbò jà àbí máa ṣe kinní kan ká là ń dà lúrú à ń ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀ à ń ṣe bá à ń ṣàwò ìyẹn ò lè pé wa. Ó lè pe ẹni tó ń ṣe o but kò lè pé wa in the long run nítorí pé táàbà yìí tí dojú ìjà kọ ìjọba yẹn àìtí bẹ̀rẹ̀ ìjà kankan gbogbo ètò kù akànṣe ṣàkárá ni inú wa lè máa dùn bọ̀ ṣàkárá sì ni gbogbo ẹ̀. So àti dojú ìjà kọ ìjọba yẹn làwa ṣe gbé ọ̀rọ̀ referendum yẹn jáde. Ìpè ìjọba tó lòun ní agbára òun ní kinní kan òun ṣe gbá òun ṣàwo á ń láti kọ́kọ́ wá bá ṣe máa da agbára yẹn rú so that a lè ní ìrọ̀rùn láti ṣe nǹkan tá a fẹ́ ṣe lọ́dọ̀ wa. Tá a bá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ irú ṣáṣá yẹn nìsín wọn ò tí ì ráyè ìjọba yìí ò tí ì ráyè ó dẹ̀ ti ṣẹlẹ̀ ní other countries in Africa tó yẹ pé tírú nǹkan báyìí bá ṣẹlẹ̀ ìjọba yẹn á kàn sẹ́ndì ó tẹ̀ ti ṣẹlẹ̀ lọ́dọ̀ wa gan gbà Òdì massacre nígbà tí Ọbásanjọ́ wà ń bẹ̀ ní Rivers àbíbo ni Zakibiam gbogbo ẹ̀ wọ́n á sẹ́ndì àwọn tó gbà lọ bẹ̀ wọ́n á lọ destroy wọn. So kí ni ìgbà kan náà gbé General Leckworth ní Zango Kataf lórí irú ọ̀rọ̀ báyìí náà ni tó ń lọ tí mọ́lé kó pààyàn ó di ilé former GOC nìyẹn nítorí kì í ṣe Fúlàní. So gbogbo orú nǹkan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn wà níbẹ̀ tí a rí tó ti ń ṣẹlẹ̀. Then ká dẹ̀ tún rántí pé nígbà lọ́dọ̀ wa gan-an àti rírọ̀ ẹ̀rí nígbà táwọn Tafádéoyè ń ṣe Àgbẹ̀kọ̀yà ńgbà yẹn tó jẹ́ pé àwọn náà wọ́n ṣe tiwọn wọ́n tẹ̀ tán dẹ̀ ṣe kinní gan àwọn Awólọ́wọ̀ bá wọn dá sí wọ́n yanjú ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn ṣùgbọ́n ìjọba mílítírì tó wà ó rẹ́yìn Tafádéoyè nígbà yẹn náà. So gbogbo yẹn la máa wò wípé ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà ńlẹ̀ yìí kì í ṣe pé àmì ló dáa bọ́n ṣe lé Sẹ́ríkì yẹn lọ. In fact Sẹ́ríkì ṣáṣá gan yẹ kán lè dànù nítorí nígbà Abacha in fact bí òun níjọba Ọ̀yọ́ ń gbà yẹn Sẹ́ríkì ṣáṣá ń gbà yẹn tó yẹ pé gbogbo òun làbáchà ń rì láìlé lórí tó fi ń ṣe gbogbo nǹkan tó ń ṣe so gbogbo yẹn wà ńbẹ̀ but ká má fi ẹ̀tẹ́ lẹ̀ ká máa palàpalàpà yes tàbá rẹni tó lè dìde tó lè lọ lé wọn but káwa tún wá mọ̀ pé ìyẹn nìkan kọ́ ni ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí pé agbára tí wọ́n ní kì í ṣe pé tìtorí pé wọ́n jẹ́ bákan tí kì bá ṣe pé ìjọba àpapọ̀ ó ń tì wọ́n lẹ́yìn directly or indirectly ọ̀nà wo ló dẹ̀ fi ń tì wọ́n lẹ́yìn wọ́n á control political party wọ́n á control military wọ́n á dẹ̀ control economy.
Yes.
So that's why tí wọ́n ṣe nígbà tí wọ́n ti border tí Buhari ti border ń gbà yẹn wọ́n close border fáwọn darandaran yẹn kan máa jáde káàkiri máa wọlé káàkiri wọ́n ní ECOWAS protocol kan wà tó ń ṣe kàtìkàtì pẹ̀lú wọn wọ́n dẹ̀ fi wọ́n lẹ̀. So what we are saying is yes we welcome self-defense àti gbogbo ẹ̀ ó wà ń bẹ̀ but ká rántí pé ọ̀rọ̀ yẹn kọjá kákan máa súnlé ara wa nítorí ẹni tó ń tì wọ́n lẹ́yìn ìyẹn wà intact àti ẹ̀tí ìbẹ̀rẹ̀ tiwọn yẹn. So nǹkan tí àwa fẹ́ fi referendum yẹn ṣe nìyẹn pé ká bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí get àwọn èèyàn wa kán wọ́n rí i pé yes fine ó dáa kan lè jókòó kán dẹ̀ máa ṣe nǹkan tó wù wọ́n á ń láti sọ̀rọ̀ but while we are doing that ká mọ̀ pé iṣẹ́ tó tún wà níwájú wa ó kọjá yẹn pé à ń láti deny central government yẹn ni ó ti deny ààrẹ legitimacy ààrẹ nísìnyí bá a ṣe sọ pé bọ́n ṣe ń hùwà àti gbogbo sọkúsọ tó ń sọ jáde lẹ́nu ó ti wà very clear but báwo la ṣe máa organize tá a máa gbàjọba yẹn tó fi máa jẹ́ pé ìjọba tiwantiwa ló máa wà lọ́wọ́ wa tá a fi lè ní sense of justice lọ́dọ̀ wa ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nìyẹn.
Ẹ ṣeun gan-an orí ọ̀rọ̀ referendum náà ni a fẹ́ bọ́ sí. Mo lọ wo orí ìkànnì ní ìṣẹ́jú mélòó kan ní ìsinyìí ohun tí mo rí mú bọ̀ nìyí eléyìí àwọn bíi over 1,000 people wọ́n ti sign petition.
Ó yẹ ká pàtẹ́wọ́ fúnra wa.
Àbí pé àwọn èèyàn wá ṣeun o nítorí pé kíní kan wà tá a kọ update síbẹ̀ pé orin kan wà tí ẹ̀yin àgbà máa ń kọ́ ń gbà náà wípé onílé ni ò ní gbà fún àgbàrá òjò kò lóhùn ò ní léwu onílé ni ò ní gbà fún pé tí àwọn darandaran táwọn bá ń pààyàn tí wọ́n ń gbé ìbọn káàkiri tí wọ́n sì ń wo pé báwọn ṣe fẹ́ ṣe ti tàwọn nìyẹn àwa yòókù ló yẹ ká sọ pé àwọn ò ṣe ti tiwa bẹ́ẹ̀ torí pé mo rántí ní ìgbà Western Region tí wọ́n fẹ́ bẹ̀rẹ̀ free education àwọn Western Region àwọn yòókù sọ pé àwọn rò pé ó ṣeé ṣe pé báwo lẹ ṣe máa ṣe free education for everybody but Western Region bàbá wa Ọbáfẹ́mi Awólọ́wọ̀ àwọn proceed láti ṣe that education ó wà lára àwọn tó ràn wá lọ́wọ́ lónìí pẹ̀lú àwọn ọmọ wa ní àgbáyé àwa ni a lè sọ pé àwọn ò gbà ó tẹ́yìn bá lè fẹ́ pààyàn
àwọn ò nígbà kẹ́kọ̀ọ́ wà ó
tẹ́ bá fẹ́ lọ pa ẹlòmíì o tí wọ́n bá gbà ó ṣùgbọ́n fún àwa a ò ní gbà kí bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe sọ náà pé àwọn in tí à ń wò ní pé mo ti sọ ọ̀rọ̀ yìí rí pé ọ̀nà púpọ̀ ló wọ ọjà ṣùgbọ́n àwọn ọ̀nà míì wà tó jẹ́ pé pẹ̀lú ìnira àwọn ọ̀nà míì wà tó sì jẹ́ pé ó ṣe ṣe kéèyàn ó gbà kí ẹ̀kọ́ mọ́ gbóyàn lẹ́sẹ̀ ó ní àwọn ọ̀nà tí à ń wò wípé àwọn ọ̀nà tá a lè gbà láti yanjú ẹ̀ tí ò ní fa wípé à ń para wa à ń dógun sílẹ̀ à ń ṣèjàngbọ̀n mo rò pé òun ló jẹ́ kí títọ̀rọ̀ ní referendum yìí kó wọlé wípé ká pé àwọn tí àwọn ilégbìmọ̀ aṣòfin tí wọ́n ń ṣojú wa níbẹ̀ àti àwọn gómìnà ká pè wọ́n níjà nǹkan kan wá tí mo fẹ́ béèrè nítorí pé ẹ̀yin àgbà náà lè máa sọ pé ìgbà míì ọ̀rọ̀ ó wà ààyè ò ní sí ìgbà míì adéwà tó jẹ́ pé ààyè wà ọ̀rọ̀ ò ní sí referendum yìí bọ́n ló ti dàbẹ́ pé ní àsìkò yìí ó dàbẹ́ ní pé ó fẹ́ bọ́ sí àsìkò tọ́rọ̀ wà tí ààyè sì wà.
Táàyè dẹ̀ wà. Òótọ́ ni ó bọ́ sí àsìkò tí ààyè wà tí ọ̀rọ̀ dẹ̀ wà. Ìdí ẹ̀ ni wípé ṣe mọ̀ pé mo sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan earlier pé periods in history ó máa ń ní flows, ó máa ń ní ebb and flows, ó máa ń lọ sókè, ó máa wálé, ó máa ń ṣe gbogbo ẹ̀. So gbogbo ohun tó ti wá ń ṣẹlẹ̀ látijọ́ yìí ó ti wá ń forí sọ ibì kan, ibi tí ààyè ti wá nìyẹn. Nígbà tó forí sọ ibì kan yẹn, ọ̀rọ̀ wo la wá fẹ́ sọ sí láti fi yanjú ẹ̀, ibi tí ọ̀rọ̀ ti wáyé nìyẹn. So wípé bí gbogbo nǹkan ṣe rí nísìn, ẹ jẹ́ kí n padà sórí ọ̀rọ̀ ọ̀nà kan owó ọjà yẹn, kí n mú láti bẹ̀ wípé tá bá wò ó from ṣe lórí ọ̀rọ̀ mathematical kìíní pé okay o, ọjà rèé, a lè find so many directions láti wọbẹ̀, left, right, center, north and south. Ìyẹn imply pé gbogbo wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ látojú kan náà, olúkálùkù bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ibi tó ti wá, ó dẹ̀ ń lọ sọ́jà ni. Ìyẹn ni ọ̀nà kan ò wọbẹ̀, nítorí pé ọ̀tọ̀ọ̀tọ̀ ni olúkálùkù ti ń gbà láti bẹ̀rẹ̀ wọbẹ̀. Now tá bá wò ó from a philosophical perspective, a rí pé ọ̀nà kan ṣo, ibì kan ṣo ni gbogbo wa ti bẹ̀rẹ̀. Tá bá dẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti ibì kan ṣo yẹn, ó di dandan kó jẹ́ pé ọ̀nà kan ló máa gbé wa débẹ̀. Nǹkan tí mo fi sọ bẹ́ẹ̀ nìyí, ọ̀nà ibì kan ṣo tá ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ ni ọ̀rọ̀ nǹkan tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ sílẹ̀ Yorùbá. Tá bá ní àwọn kan sọ pé ẹ jẹ́ ká máa ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ ìdàgbàsókè. Tá bá ń sọ̀rọ̀ ìdàgbàsókè, ṣe bóun láti rí nìsín, ẹ wo Dr. Aborode tán lọ pa ní kinní yẹn, ní Gàngán yẹn. Ara ọ̀rọ̀ ìdàgbàsókè ni wọ́n ṣe tán fi débẹ̀ yẹn. Àdẹ̀mọ̀ nǹkan tó ṣe, kì í ṣe àwọn nìkan, ó ti ṣẹlẹ̀ all over the place náà sí àwọn èèyàn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn tí wọ́n á dẹ̀ kẹrù wọn, tí wọ́n á sá kúrò ńbẹ̀. So tẹ bá ní ẹ jẹ́ ká yànyàn lọ sí House of Assembly àbí Senate, òun náà láti sọ lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn pé wọn kò sí nǹkan kan tán lè ṣe ńbẹ̀. Ṣé ti rí bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn pé tá bá mú ní kọ̀ọ̀kan bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, olúkálùkù fẹ́ gba ọ̀nà tiẹ̀ láti sọ pé òun fẹ́ ran ilẹ̀ Yorùbá lọ́wọ́ ni. But olúkálùkù wá ń mú from different perspectives. Ibi tí ọ̀nà kan wọn ò ṣe wọjà ni, àmì èyí pé ọ̀nà kan ò wọjà nìyẹn o, ọ̀dọ̀ wọn ti ẹ̀ dé ọjà. Kí gbogbo ẹ̀ tó bẹ̀rẹ̀ sí dàrú. So tá bá wá wò ní philosophically pé àkọ́kọ́ wò pé kí ni problem tílẹ̀ Yorùbá ní gan sef? Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ ìdàgbàsókè ni? Yes. Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ ìwé ni? Yes. Ṣé ọ̀rọ̀ kinní ni? Yes. But kí ló fà á tí gbogbo ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ṣe wáyé tí ò bá sí pé ìjọba wa kì í ṣe ìjọba tiwantiwa, kì í ṣe ìjọba tiwa tá a fẹ́ ló wà ńbẹ̀. Ìgbà tẹ́ sọ̀rọ̀ free education lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn, ṣé mọ̀ pé ká ní action group ò win election 1951 yẹn, free education ò tiẹ̀ ní wáyé.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni sir.
Nígbà yẹn, so wọ́n mọ̀, so yẹn lèmi fi sọ pé ọ̀nà kan ló wọjà. Ọ̀nà kan tó dẹ̀ wọjà ni nígbà tá bá ní ibí ni gbogbo wa ti bẹ̀rẹ̀, wa bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní Mọ́kọ́lá àbí Mọ̀lété, a dẹ̀ fẹ́ lọ sí UI Ìbàdàn, a bẹ̀rẹ̀ ńbẹ̀, a dẹ̀ mọ̀nà tó máa gbé wa débẹ̀. Tó bá jẹ́ pé tá bá ń lọ lọ́nà, tá bá rí pé ọ̀nà yẹn dí, à lè gbàbò míì. But n tó ṣẹlẹ̀ ní pé gbogbo wa la wà lórí ọ̀nà yẹn, tá ń bá ọ̀nà yẹn lọ, tá bá máa change ọ̀nà, bá ṣe máa change ọ̀nà náà nìyẹn. But tá bá example tí mo dẹ̀ ti give lẹ́ẹ̀kan yẹn, a fẹ́ ṣèdàgbàsókè ni o, a fẹ́ lọ dá oko lẹ̀ ni o, a fẹ́ ran àwọn ọmọ wa lọ́wọ́ kán ríṣẹ́ ni o, a ti mọ ibi tí gbogbo ẹ̀ máa end rí, kò lè gbé wa dọ́jà. Torí kò dẹ̀, ní tí ò ṣe lè gbé wa dé ọjà ni pé kò tíì gbé wa dé ọjà látọdún yìí tá ti ń ṣe. Rather, níṣe ni wọ́n fi ń destroy àwọn olórí wa. So àwa wá sọ pé òkè o, ọ̀nà wo ni a lè gbà wá gbé orí ọ̀rọ̀ referendum la wá gbé lẹ̀ pé number one, ó ti by the nature, by definition tá a pè ní referendum, a ti sọ pé a fẹ́ gbàjọba tiwantiwa, a fẹ́ ní ìjọba tiwantiwa, a dẹ̀ lẹ́tọ̀ọ́ láti ní. Ọ̀nà wo la máa gbà ní ọ̀nà báyìí káwọn ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin ṣe báyìí kan ṣe báyìí kan ṣe báyìí kan ṣe báyìí. Ọ̀nà wo la máa gẹ́ẹ̀tì wọn láti ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀, la ṣe bẹ̀rẹ̀ pẹ̀lú ọ̀rọ̀ petition yìí. Inú mi dẹ̀ dùn, mo dẹ̀ dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ gbogbo àwọn tó ti sign. A ṣẹ̀ṣẹ̀ bẹ̀rẹ̀ ní o, so gbogbo èyí tá ti ṣe àtún máa ṣe lọ, ká ṣá the more the merrier, the more signatures tá bá rí lórí ẹ̀, the better. But inú mi dùn pé láàrin ìjọ kan sí méjì láti rí ibi tá a dé nísìn, so ẹ jẹ́ ká máa ṣiṣẹ́ yẹn lọ. So àwa sọ pé tá a bá ṣe petition yẹn la máa wá gbé síwájú àwọn ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin pé ká wá wò ó bóyá ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin á sọ pé kò kàn àwọn o bí ó kàn wọ́n o. Ibi tí mo ti ní tá a bá ń gbọ̀nà yẹn lọ, tá a bá ní ìdá ti change ọ̀nà tó ti máa wọlé nìyẹn. Tó bá sọ pé kò kàn wọ́n, àwa jókòó, àwa sọ pé òkè àwọn tá a expect pé ó yẹ kán ṣe kínní, wọ́n ní kò máa kan àwọn. Ìgbésẹ̀ wo la tún fẹ́ gbé? Àmọ́ ìgbésẹ̀ tá fẹ́ gbé. Tó bá dẹ̀ sọ pé ó kàn wọ́n o, àwọn á ṣe. Ìgbésẹ̀ yẹn ti wà nínú bíìlì yẹn pé tẹ́ bá fẹ́ ṣe nǹkan báyìí lẹ máa ṣe. Gbogbo ẹ̀ ti wà ń bẹ̀. So ìyẹn whether ìyẹn ò wá ní ẹni tó bá fẹ́ ṣoko kó má lọ ṣoko, ìyẹn ò ní ẹni tó bá fẹ́ dá nǹkan mi sílẹ̀ kó má dá sílẹ̀ o, ṣùgbọ́n n táwa wá sọ ní pé tá a bá ti gbé ìgbésẹ̀ yẹn, a ti bẹ̀rẹ̀ bá a ṣe máa ní ìjọba tiwantiwa nìyẹn. Ní tí mo yẹ sọ pé ọ̀nà kan yẹn, nítorí tá a bá wo gbogbo ọ̀nà tó ti wà ńlẹ̀ tá a dẹ̀ ti ṣe, torí bí ìrẹ́pọ̀nà kankan wà yàtọ̀ sí eléyìí o, táì tí ìdáwọ́ nílẹ̀ Yorùbá o, a ti dìbò. Nígbà tán after Abíọ́lá tán gbé ní òkìní débẹ̀, gbogbo AD ló win gbogbo states nílẹ̀ Yorùbá nígbà yẹn. Àmọ́ bọ́n ṣe dàrú. So tẹ́nìkan bá tún dìde ní ìsìn pé ó yá ẹ jẹ́ ká tún dá ẹgbẹ́ kan lẹ̀ ká lọ mú ìní gbogbogbò, ìyẹn wọn tẹ̀ ní lè ṣe irú ìtàn ṣe ní 1999 yẹn mọ́ nísìn, wọn lè. So ìyẹn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn, tẹ́ bá ní ẹ jẹ́ ká dá iléeṣẹ́ lẹ̀ fáwọn èèyàn, àti rí ní ìsìn lójókòó lẹ dálẹ̀ ni, bó jẹ́ iléeṣẹ́ lẹ dálẹ̀ ni, àti rí gbogbo tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀. So gbogbo ọ̀nà yẹn wà wípé ọ̀nà kan tó lè wọ ọjà yẹn, tá a bá dẹ̀ rí obstacles lọ́nà, bá a ṣe máa overcome obstacles yẹn la máa wá. Kì í ṣe pé a máa wá give up. Táwọn ilé ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin bá láwọn ò ṣe kinní kan, okay, wọ́n ti sọ tí wọn. Àwa la máa wá jókòó tá a máa wá sọ pé ọ̀nà wo la tún fẹ́ gbé kinní yìí gbà. Ṣùgbọ́n tá a bá ti ní a sizable number of signatures tó wà lẹ́yìn wa, ìyẹn la fi máa bẹ̀rẹ̀ nǹkan míì tí gbogbo ẹ̀ fi máa níyànjú. So ọ̀rọ̀ ti dé gangan nísìn, torí èmi ò rí ẹnìkan, kálẹ̀ ẹnìkan ló ń fẹ́ ṣe president, ló fẹ́ ṣe ààrẹ Nàìjíríà nísìn, ká tiẹ̀ wo simple mathematics ẹ̀, ó máa ní ìdìbò àwọn darandaran yìí náà láti di president. Wọ́n á dẹ̀ sọ fún ẹ pé tó bá fẹ́ ìbò wa o, nǹkan tá a fẹ́ kó ṣe fún wa nílé. So ó ti kó rẹ̀ sínú páńpẹ́ already. Tó bá lóun fẹ́ ṣe president, anybody ni mo ń sọ yìí o, àti rẹ̀ ní kankan tó dìde nílẹ̀ Yorùbá tó lóun fẹ́ ṣe o, but wọ́n sọ pé àwọn kan fẹ́ ṣe. So nígbà tẹ́ bá ti lọ reach agreement yẹn pẹ̀lú wọn, tí a sì níjọba ní ìsìn, gbogbo kinní yìí ń ṣẹlẹ̀, wọ́n dẹ̀ ti fira wọn sí gbogbo ipò. Ṣé nígbà tó bá lọ bá wọn, tó bá reach agreement pẹ̀lú wọn, wàá débẹ̀ tán wàá máa yọ gbogbo wọn bẹ̀, wọ́n máa wẹ̀ ẹ̀ràn ni? Kò possible. So what we are saying is, kò sí ọ̀nà tẹ́ fẹ́ gbé gbà tẹ́ ẹ bá kọ́kọ́ yanjú ọ̀rọ̀ báwo ni ìjọba tiwantiwa ṣe ń lò. Ìyẹn la ṣe ń sọ nínú referendum yẹn pé tí Nàìjíríà bá máa wà ọ̀nà tá a fẹ́ kó fún wa nílé. adẹ̀lẹ́ṣe ó dẹ̀ mú jẹ. So tá a bá ní olórí tiwa tó bá lọ ṣàṣemáṣe pẹ̀lú wọn lábùjá ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ ló ká yọ ọ̀sẹ̀ fún lọ́dọ̀ wa àwa náà dé máa bá tiwa lọ. So ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà lé nìyẹn ìpè ká kọ́kọ́ ká mú níbi pẹlẹbẹ yẹn ká gẹ̀ẹ́tì káwọn èèyàn wa gbogbo ìtẹ́ ti ṣe àdúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn tó ti ṣe gan torí inú wa máa ń dùn ní tábà ní nọ́mbà yẹn tó bá ráìsì.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
So ibo náà tá ti sọ fún àwọn tí ò tí ì ṣe káwọn náà ṣe kán ṣe àyè kán sẹ́ǹdẹ̀ kán ṣe kínní toró dẹ̀ wà very clear àwọn ìjọba wa gọ́vnà wa àti ilé ìgbìmọ̀ aṣòfin wa àwọn la fẹ́ ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ ni àwọn la fẹ́ bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ pé kó tá a fẹ́
bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ ni.
So tá a bá fipò sí kó wá ẹ jẹ́ kó wá sọ kó fẹnu ara wọn sọ pé àwọn ò lè ṣe.
Ẹ ṣeun lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀. Ká wo díẹ̀ lára àwọn tí àwọn ènìyàn kọ síbẹ̀ ọ̀dọ̀ èdè òyìnbó òun náà ni màá kà. I'm signing because I and my family are tired of living in fear of being kidnapped by Fulani, tired of a country where our languages and cultures are totally different. We are tired of people whose culture is part of slashing people's throats with knife. We are tired of living in bondage of Fulanis. We have another person. I'm signing for the referendum because I'm tired of being referred to as a third-class citizen in my own country. I'm tired of Fulanis killings my people on our land. Also, I'm signing the petition because I want the emancipation of the Yoruba people. Then I believe strongly, that's another person. I believe strongly in every aspect of the petition and believe it is time we have the referendum to determine our sovereignty as a nation. I think I'm trying to look for, there's one that even make reference to the police brutality, which is the NSAS that is has been a serious issue. I'm signing this petition because I want Yoruba referendum. Say no to raping, no to kidnapping, no to killing, and no to police brutality. I'm signing this petition. That's from another person because it's high time Yoruba nation comes to stay. So, àwọn èèyàn ni wọ́n ní oríṣiríṣi ìdí tí wọ́n fi ń bu ọwọ́ lu ìwé náà. Ṣùgbọ́n a rí pé tí gbogbo pẹ̀lú bẹ́ẹ̀ ṣe ń sọ pé ọjà náà ni gbogbo owó jà sí. Tí gbogbo wọn sọ náà ni pé àwọn ò fẹ́ ìlú tí ó jẹ́ wípé kò ní sí àlàáfíà tàbí tí ó máa jẹ́ pé àwọn ẹ̀yà kan ni wọ́n á jẹ́ Nàìjíríà lóòótọ́ tí àwọn yòókù tí wọ́n á jẹ́ ará ẹ̀yìn. Ọjọ́ náà àrímúsolókùn tí abalabita dé náà màá sì fún yín ní ààyè náà láti kàn sí àwọn ènìyàn wa láti dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn wọ́n lé that's about 1,026 in less than 2 days. That's a great that's a great achievement, and it also shows wípé àwọn èèyàn wa wọ́n ti rí wípé àsìkò tó fún wa láti gbé àwọn ìgbésẹ̀ tí ó máa mú wa yọrí sí ibi tí àlàáfíà àti ìfọ̀kànbalẹ̀ tí a fi wà fún gbogbo ọmọ Yorùbá nílé àti ní oko. Màá fún yín láyè láti dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn èèyàn wa àti láti kàn sí àwọn tó kù nítorí pé pẹ̀lú àwọn tí mo wò níbí àwọn tí wọ́n ti wò ètí àwọn olóyìnbó ń pè ní views, the people that have views it, there are over 9,000 people. Adẹ̀tí ní over 1,000 tí wọ́n ti sign. Bá a ṣe ń sọ̀rọ̀ lọ yìí gan àwọn èèyàn sì ń bu ọwọ́ lù bó ṣe wà sí ó ti ń lọ sí bí ṣé 1,026 mo sọ ó ti ń lọ bí 1,033 báyìí ó dẹ̀ ti ń lọ. So ẹ bá a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ àwọn èèyàn tó ń ṣe sì tún bá wa fún àwọn èèyàn náà létí sí pé kíní yìí o ọ̀rọ̀ wa ni o ẹ bá wo microphone yín sà.
Okay. Tí ó bá sí wọn gbogbo nǹkan tá à ń sọ yìí á kàn jẹ́ ọ̀rọ̀ lórí afẹ́fẹ́ ni. Àwọn olóyìnbó ní kinní kan tó máa ń pè ní kéèyàn leads kan convert sí sales.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
So irú 9,000 views tó ti wó yẹn leads ni wọ́n jẹ́. So ká tún tara wọn ká convert wọn sí signatures. Ní gbogbo ọ̀nà tá a bá lè ṣe àwọn tó tiẹ̀ ti kọ́kọ́ ṣe yẹn ìfà inú mi ń dùn ní tá a bá ti ń gbọ́ kínní yẹn pé at least ọ̀rọ̀ nítorí tí wọ́n ti ṣe pàtàkì inú ẹ̀ jù ṣe mọ̀ pé a sọ pé a fẹ́ dá ẹgbẹ́ òṣèlú sílẹ̀.
Bẹ́ẹ̀ni.
A sọ pé a fẹ́ dìbò fún ẹni tó máa jẹ president àbá fẹ́ ṣe kinní kan. A sọ pé a kò fẹ́ gba ọ̀nà yìí láti gbára wálẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ ìjọba amúnisìn tó wà nílẹ̀ Nàìjíríà. Inú mi dẹ̀ dùn pé àwọn èèyàn rí pé ọ̀nà tá a lè gba lílé yìí o ẹ jẹ́ ká tẹra mọ́. So inú wa dùn gan-an and Ọlọ́run á fún wa ṣe, Ọlọ́run á wà lẹ́yìn gbogbo wa.
Àmín.
Láti jẹ́ kí even tá a bá ti sign tá a ti share ẹ jẹ́ ká tún máa rán àwọn tá a share létí pé káwọn náà má gbàgbé láti share o. Ìpè ọ̀rọ̀ yìí ṣì wà ńlẹ̀ o. Ẹni tó bá ti ṣe tiẹ̀ kó tún rán àwọn tó kù létí ká máa tún sọ ká máa sọ gbogbo bí tá a bá mọ̀. Kò sí even tó bá jẹ́ pé olúwa ẹ̀ ní òun fẹ́ lọ pé ọ̀nà tọjà tó ń lélẹ̀ déédé náà ni a sọ pé kó má ṣe ọ̀nà tiẹ̀ pọ̀ bá wa fọwọ́ sí léyìí kó máa nítorí gbogbo ọ̀nà tá à ń sọ yìí náà olúkálùkù náà máa kírètì páàsì tiẹ̀ ni. Ẹni tó bá sọ pé ká lọ ṣe ohun ìdàgbàsókè ni kò lè ní kí gbogbo wa máa bọ̀ lóko. Àwọn tó máa lọ àlọ́ àwọn tí yóò ráyè wọn ní ráyè àwọn tó bá fẹ́ ṣe àṣe. Sọ̀bọ̀ tẹ́lẹ̀ yìí ibi tó olúkálùkù bá wà ó ti fọwọ́ sí. Bí gbogbo ẹ ṣe ń lọ bẹ́ẹ̀ náà ni gbogbo àwọn èèyàn ṣe máa gbọ́ ìgbésẹ̀ tá à ń gbé. Tó bá tún di ìgbà tá a bá fi máa wá kí nọ́mbà yẹn tún ti gbòòrò sí bá a ṣe sọ ìnáwó la ṣe máa sọ. Nítorí bí bẹ́ẹ̀ ni pé à ń ṣe kínní ní nísìnyí kí tí ẹ ṣe pé ọ̀rọ̀ tèmi bá sọ ló má tà mọ́ but ìgbésẹ̀ táwọn èèyàn ń gbé láti fi ọwọ́ sí kínní yẹn ìyẹn ló máa fún wa ní encouragement táwa náà fi máa ṣe nǹkan tá a máa ṣe. So a dúpẹ́ lọ́wọ́ yín gan wípé tí ò bá sẹ́yìn a kàn máa rojọ́ náà ṣùgbọ́n ilé ti fún wa ní power kí wọ́n sọ pé kò fún wa ní power ó fún wa ní encouragement wípé àwọn èèyàn fẹ́ nǹkan tá à ń ṣe. Lágbára Ọlọ́run gbogbo wa la máa dé end goal tá à ń lé. Ọlọ́run á jẹ́ wà ní gbogbo wa a dẹ̀ ní ṣe àṣedànù. Like we ṣe sọ earlier on, this is the time láti jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ bóyá mo jẹ́ senator àbí mo jẹ́ chairman council àbí mo kàn jẹ́ nìkan tó ń ta recharge card lójú títì kan lélẹ̀ Yorùbá ni mí period ilẹ̀ ìyá tẹ̀ ń jẹ wá lẹ̀ wa period kí la fẹ́ ṣe sí period nǹkan tá a fẹ́ ṣe sí nílé period. So kò sí ẹnìkan tó ga jẹ nìkan lọ́nú ẹ̀ ju pé tí ọ̀rọ̀ bá wá délẹ̀ lọ́jọ́ iwájú ìpè báwo làwọn Yorùbá ṣe ṣe kínní èmi á lè sọ wípé ní agbára Ọlọ́run kò ṣe kan tí mo lè ṣe. Ifo tó bá tẹ̀ jẹ́ sí picture ẹnìkan ló wà ń bẹ̀ ìwọ náà ká rẹ̀ mọ́ ìpè nígbà tá a bẹ̀rẹ̀ kínní yẹn èmi náà buwọ́ lu kínní yẹn ní tó máa mú ìdùnnú wá fún gbogbo wa nìyẹn Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ fún gbogbo wa ṣe.
Àmín.
Yes, sir.
Ẹ ṣeun gan lọ́pọ̀lọpọ̀ a dúpẹ́ fún àsìkò tí ẹ fún wa láti bá yín sọ̀rọ̀.
A dúpẹ́ fún àsìkò tẹ́ fún mi láti sọ̀rọ̀.
Tí àwọn ènìyàn ọjọ́ dà ní bójoojúmọ́ náà ni a máa béèrè ìtorí tá a ṣe máa béèrè náà sì ni wípé ó ṣeé ṣe pé àwọn tí wọ́n gbọ́ wa ní ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì tó kọjá bóyá nírú òní nísìn ó lè jẹ́ pé àwọn èèyàn tuntun ni wọ́n tún join wa àwọn tí a sì gbàdúrà fún náà nìyẹn pé kó máa jẹ́ lọ́tùn tí àwọn èèyàn bá fẹ́ ẹlòmíì lè ní ìbéèrè tó fẹ́ béèrè nípa ọ̀rọ̀ referendum yìí bóyá kò lè ráyè láti béèrè ẹ̀ ní orí afẹ́fẹ́ bí a ṣe ń ṣètò yìí email wo àbí bó ni wọ́n ṣe lè get in touch pẹ̀lú.
ọ̀nà méjì email wa ní yorubaref@gmail.com yorubaref@gmail.com ọ̀nà kìíní nìyẹn ṣe lè bá wa gbé sórí afẹ́fẹ́ yorubaref@gmail.com
ọ̀nà mo dọ́gbọ́n ṣe yìí
yorubaref@gmail.com tó bá ti débẹ̀ á dá yín lóhùn. Ọ̀nà kejì ní ọ̀dọ̀ yín through yín bó jẹ́ orí agogo ni o àbórí email ni o tẹ́ bá ṣáà ti kàn sí OY media ó máa dọ́dọ̀ wa so ẹ lè ṣe lọ́nà méjèèjì èyí tó bá wà convenient tó bá wà comfortable fún yín bó jẹ́ OY media Scotland ni o àbí yorubaref@gmail either way ó máa dọ́dọ̀ wa nítorí àwọn gan-an wọn ṣọmọdé nínú ọ̀rọ̀ tó wà nílẹ̀ yìí so ó káwọn náà lára ó káwọn náà lára pé inú wa dẹ̀ dùn pé àríró àwọn bẹ́ẹ̀ yẹn tí wọ́n darapọ̀ mọ́ wa tí wọ́n dẹ̀ fi ṣeré tí wọ́n dẹ̀ ń ṣe so ẹ jẹ́ kọ́kàn yín balẹ̀ bẹ́ẹ̀ tẹ bójá àwọn nìkan lẹ bá sọ̀rọ̀ á dọ́dọ̀ wa kẹ́ ẹ lè máa join wa live bá a ṣe ń ṣe program yìí so that a lè máa interact dáadáa lórí.
Yes. Ẹ ṣe ń gbà sà a máa rí yín bá nígbà tí ó bá tún fi di ọ̀sẹ̀ méjì a sọ fún àwọn èèyàn tí wọ́n wò wá bó bá ṣe ń lọ tí ẹ bá wo orí program yìí ní comment box a ti fi link sí petition yẹn a ti fi síbẹ̀ ẹ bá wa bu ọwọ́ lù ní tí a sọ náà ní pé be part of history lẹ́yìn náà gbogbo wa ni a fẹ́ ṣe ṣùgbọ́n ìgbà míì àwọn kan míì wà tá a lè dá sí àwa kan wà náà a lè má lè ṣe òṣèlú àwa kan a lè má lè ṣe journalism àwa kan tí wọ́n bá ní ó yẹ kó pọ́npọ́ ẹ máa bọ́ ń ta o àwa kan lè má lè kó pọ́npọ́ ṣùgbọ́n a lè bu ọwọ́ lu ohun tí àwọn ènìyàn ṣe wípé àfọwọ́sí n tí ó sì jẹ́ tó fi ṣe kókó náà ni pé bó bá ṣe pọ̀ sí òun náà ni ó ṣe máa dùn sí tí àwọn gómìnà àti àwọn yòókù tí wọ́n á fi mọ̀ pé ohun tí àwọn aráàlú ń sọ nìyí wípé ẹ bá wa sọ kí ní ìdòfin kí a lè gba ara wa lọ́wọ́ ìjọba tí tó ń ṣílẹ̀kùn fún àwọn darandaran.
Àwọn darandaran ìjọba gan fúnra rẹ̀ darandaran ló ń gan fúnra rẹ̀.
Ẹ ṣeun alàgbà Fẹ́mi Ọ̀dẹ́dẹ̀yí láti Yorùbá Referendum Committee.
Ẹ ṣé gan o.
Ẹ bá wa kílé.
Àdúpẹ́ o, Ọlọ́run á bùkún yín dáadáa o. Ọlọ́run á dẹ̀ fún gbogbo akitiyan yín. Ọlọ́run á bless gbogbo yín náà. Ẹ ṣé gan.
Ẹ ṣeun gan.
Yes, sir.
Àdúpẹ́.
Yes, sir.
My sweat, my soul, this cornerstone, the solid ground, fell to the fiercest droughts and storm. What height of love, what depth of peace, where fierce as steel, where strife is cease. My comforter, my all in all. here in the love of Christ I stand. Christ alone, who took on flesh, fullness of God, He blessed me. This gift of love and righteousness, so like you was He came to stay. Sin on the cross, and Jesus dead, the right of God was satisfied. For everything on Him was great. Yeah, in the days of Christ, I live. Òrìṣà kí aṣọ wọn yálà lágbàro. Sweet mother. Òrìṣà kí aṣọ wọn yálà lágbàro. Màmá tó gbé mi sínú fóṣù mẹ́sàn-án tó pọ̀n mí sẹ́yìn. Ọdún mẹ́ta ó gbìyànjú kí n lè jẹ́ ènìyàn. Ayé ti wá ọjọ́ tó gbé bí mọ́nú torí kí n lè jẹ́ kí n lè wọṣọ. Ó ṣàlàtìlẹ́yìn mi torí kí n lè gbé ènìyàn. Olùgbà ò ṣe ìyá nìyá mi, ìyá lálágbàro. Èjìká tí ọjà ṣọwọ́ jábọ́, ẹ bá mi kí màmá mi abiyamọ.
Right, viewers, welcome to another session of the live broadcast for today. I already have our guest in the house. That is Dr. Timi Ogunmola. She's been with us before, and she's from OSHA African Caribbean Project here in Scotland. You are most welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Right, so we have the topic for the discussion today, or what you want to tell us, the impact of COVID-19 on love, sex, and relationships. Just before you go on, would you be kind enough also to let people know who you are, just for the purpose of those that are joining us for the first time?
Okay. Yes, I'm Timi, and I'm a counseling psychologist by profession. I currently work with the Children and Families Department, and I've been a teacher, a trained teacher, a lecturer in Africa before relocating here to since 1995 when I relocated. But before then, even in 1986 to 1990, I was here for my educational program. So it has been like half of my life has been here in diaspora. And I've also been a community women leader. I was a Director General Commissioner for Women Affairs back in Africa. And when I came here, I joined the Scottish Women Convention, and I'm a very active member, and also an active member of our African Caribbean community with the OSHA Women Project. Now, we are doing a lot of initiatives among our own community to see that we help and support them during these difficult times of the lockdown from 2020 into 2021.
Thank you very much for that, quite so much. So we can call you proper Scots.
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Then you have the Ocean African Caribbean projects. This
Yes.
has been out since when? This particular.
We started really since 2020 with the pandemic. We started during the pandemic, and it's really to address the new challenges that people are facing, especially women and families. And as I said, women, men, and children inclusive.
Thank you very much. So the impact of COVID-19, interestingly, today is Valentine's Day, as they call it. You know, we've seen flowers all about because of the restriction as well. Before, people have physical flowers, but because of COVID-19, I think one of the impact is that people can actually get physical flowers, but there are e-flowers. And
Yes.
someone also told me that they are sharing e-menu or email or so.
Yes. Yes. That's very creative.
So, God, I believe that what you want to discuss with us today is deeper than that, isn't it?
Yes, yes. And so happy Valentine for everybody hearing and watching us today. And I believe really that we wish Valentine was every day, so that it is not just one day of showing love, but also is every day of showing love, appreciation, affection, gratitude to our friends, families, colleagues, and the community at large. But we find ourselves with this particular period that people are undergoing different types of pandemic. It's not just the corona pandemic. We have the pandemic of breakdown in relationships. We have had cases from 2020 into 2021. As a community leader, I have had to counsel on one-to-one about 41 families who are undergoing some family challenges, some issues with their relationship, especially among our own community. So the main thing to know is that you are not alone. Whatever situation you are undergoing, whatever level of stress, whatever level of sadness, whatever level of unhappiness, whatever level that you are experiencing with your relationship right now, you are not alone. This period has really amplified underlying issues that people have had with their relationship. We are talking about corona period. Corona pandemic has affected mostly people who have underlying illness. Really, it has also expanded and highlighted and magnified underlying relationship problems that people have or have had before that has been buried down. But now that everybody is at home, the issues have resurfaced and magnified. And it is not just for married people, it's for even people who are separated, those that are divorced, those that are single who have never married before, and widows. And we have found out that during this period of pandemic, that even the married couples, and especially among African Caribbean community, whereby we don't usually talk about issues of our unhappiness in the marriage home. We don't usually come out with the domestic abuses that are going on behind closed doors. There's even a taboo talking about sex and unfulfillment, unsatisfied feelings that people have associated with sex. Because most of our people who belong to the faith denominations, different faith denominations, I'm talking of Christians, Muslims, those of other faiths that are of our community, you will find out that it is a taboo. And it is because most of us, our generation who were born in Africa, our parents never discussed these issues with us too. So when we came here in diaspora, you know, and most of the customary links and mentoring services available are no longer here in diaspora, then there is a total breakdown. And with the pandemic now, people at least can go out before to their workplaces, children can go to school for some hours, but now everybody is 24/7 together. So you can imagine the stress and the tensions that are now being brought out to the surface. And with the lack of talking therapy that our people have, because we don't have this nature of talking therapy, of good communications. Secondly, another thing that we have found out is that most of the relationships that our people, our community, do not want to discuss center around lack of proper communication in the home, finances in the home, the sharing of money, the use of money, the value attached to money, and sex. Most of us don't want to talk about it. And you can imagine if we adults don't talk about it, you can imagine the devastating effect it is having on the younger generation, whom instead of using this period to share with them. So some of what I'm going to say also is to tell our people that there are avenues, there are resources that you can use now that you are at home. You can be the first teacher of your children to teach them about proper relationship, to be good mentors for them, to be good role models, to show them good role models that they can emulate within the home. And this is the time they are at home. You can make time. As you make time to take care of their school homework and school assignments, there should also be time to talk about love, sex, communication, and relationships generally. I will go into details of it as we go in. Or should I just continue? So you would find that love itself means different things to different people. When people say, I love you, I'm in love with you, they mean so many different things. And for our community, as I said, when we were growing up, the adult African Caribbean community, we were not used to our parents, seeing our parents showing any outward affections or, saying each other, I love you, or hugging or holding hands, all these little things showing affection. And even if you go deeper, you would find out that most homes now, the issue of she doesn't obey me, he doesn't respect me. And you will find couples shouting at each other, shouting at children, not being polite. Even these words like thank you, like please, like I am sorry, you will rarely find in some of our homes. In fact, I have made a minor research when I visit some of our people. It wouldn't take you 2 minutes to find out the general atmosphere in that house in terms of relationship and in terms of the climate of how each members of the family are relating to each other. For example, you will find the parents on a very small issue shouting on the children, something that could be politely said, shouting on the children. And when children do something good, the appreciation is not often there. It's only commands. I told you to do that. And the children naturally will ask, why? You say, because I said so, because I am commanding you to do it. And sometimes even to their spouses, they say the same thing. Instead of taking the time to communicate properly, to value the person you are talking to as an individual, which brings me to the issue of self-value. If you value yourself, you will value the people you are living with. And no matter, I will also appeal to some of our people, our couples, that even when you feel that your partner does not value you, or he's not communicating well, disrespecting you, shouting at you in public, in front of the children, saying abuses like you will do, it's your mother you are doing that to, it's your father you are doing that to. Such things are quite demoralizing, especially at this time that people who go for, they have gone for long hours at work, and now they come back home, no greetings. The only greetings they get is shouting abuses and, putting down each other, disrespecting each other. All this will cause stress. And if people don't have avenue to talk it out, to discuss, to interact, and to explain themselves, and you will find such non-communication attributes like even listening. You'll find most couples, when you are doing one-to-one counseling with them, say, oh, she doesn't understand me. And the same thing, the woman will say, oh, he doesn't understand me. But you can come to an understanding by the words you say and by letting the other person finding out more. If the husband tells you something that you don't like, paraphrase it, summarize it back to him and say, is this what you really mean? Or am I getting you wrong? Or tell me more about how you feel about this. Stress the feelings behind what they are saying, not just the words they are saying. Ask them, how are you feeling disappointed because of me telling you this? Or are you not happy with what I have just said to you? So you will get to the root of the problem, which is the emotions associated with the words that are spoken. You can replay the words back to the person. That will help in communication. And then you can empathize, put yourself in the other person's shoes. You see, men and women, we are different. And our communication needs are different. In fact, there's one pastor, Pastor Gary Chapman. He has a book called The 5 Languages of Love. I want every family should read that, especially those who are single and are contemplating marriage. They must read that book because it goes into details of the different types of languages, expectation by men, expectation by women. And so you would find that a man may think that, well, I'm the one paying for the mortgage of the house. I bring food, I pay the bills. What else does she want? Is that not love? I love her. But to a woman, she needs you, the man. She wants attention, affection. She wants recognizing her contribution. It's not that you will pat her for doing everything, but the little effort she is doing or going the extra mile to help in the finances, for example, you should acknowledge it. You should appreciate it. You should even say a thank you on it. And so these are the things. And similarly, women too, you must understand the men. Men are more visual in their communication DNA. So during this lockdown, you must do self-care, oh, my dear lady. You must take care of your own self. Not that you will be going around the house like Mama Kalaba and not dress up or come out in some untidy way, not bathing like you used to bath because you say, well, I'm not going anywhere, so there's no need to bath. Or you go to the kitchen looking so ramshackle. The man, no matter, even if he's watching the TV, he's watching you. And then in the night, you want him to have some romantic feelings. It has to be worked out right from the afternoon time before the sexual part, which I'm coming to it. And you, the woman too, if you feel that he is doing something that you is not romantic, because different women need different things. For example, I use my example. When we came with my husband in 1995, I knew that I am the sort of huggy type of person. So I told him, I said, look, when you come back from work, I like to go and hug you and greet. Ekaro, Kabo, welcome, my husband. How was your day? And kiss him on the cheek. And I said, I don't mind if you don't return the peck on the cheek, but that hug, I need it. So there's no shame about telling your husband. And later, when we had our children, I told him, I said, look, you will have to start hugging our girl too, so that she can feel, because I remember I read a book by one American lady who said why she became promiscuous in her teenage years was that her father never held her when they were growing up. And this is an African American lady. She said her father never saw her father hugged her mom, and when they were divorced, anytime she goes to the father, he never hugged her. So it was her appetite, her thirst for wanting to see how it feels for an adult man to hold her, that she became promiscuous. And so I shared this with my husband. I said, look, we must. And then I also discovered that we parents must be the first teachers of our children. No matter, if not, the society will teach them about love and sex, and which will be mixed messages and wrong messages. Anything now sells with sex, and people have wrong notion. Sex is not love. And some children don't know that even the first contact with a man sexually can result in pregnancy. That type of ignorance should not be existing now, when you have educated parents who should talk to their children. I remember I had to tell my husband, you talk to our boy, I will talk to our girls. And we did. And then we exchanged it. I said, you talk to the girls to tell them what is it that a man looks for in women. And then I to talk to my boy. You see, if we are to break this gender issue, we women will be the one to spearhead it. I've always said it. When I was a commissioner for women affairs, I went on TV stressing this, even though some women, it took them time to get used to it. I said, look, we women are our own greatest enemies. After all, we give birth to these men and women, and we have not socialized them, or we have not indoctrinated them or informed them about how to treat women honorably and graciously, and even sharing house activities with them in the house. My children grew up, my boy must do the same work that the girls are doing. There's no difference, because in future, he will do that to his wife, and he will be an example to his children also. So these are things that we have to make sure that we talk to our children during this pandemic, and that we too make little changes in our own lives. How many of us African Caribbean people who are hearing me now, did you make any new thing in terms of your relationship, even today, that is Valentine's Day? Well, you may say, oh, it's not in our culture, but you are here in Europe, and you see, these are the things we have to adapt and adopt. This is the new normal. And the new normal means we have to respect that, we have to make changes. Things will not remain the same again. We have to move forward. Even these communication attributes of saying sorry, thank you, these are qualities of teamwork that our children need to see us exhibit and practice in the home, so that when tomorrow they go to work, this is what their employers will be looking out for in terms of relationship. Can they work in a team? Have they got team attitudes? It's not the attitude that they will be jumping to speak when others are speaking, or they will be arrogant for nothing, or they will not be showing courtesy, like appreciating other team members, saying thank you to them, or please, can you pass this to me? Because most of us in our homes, what I'm saying, try and do a research on your friends and family. It will take you 2 minutes. You will see some family will say, John, get me my book upstairs. John will run and get the book, and he will bring it, and he will collect it. And if John remains, why are you staying so late like that? No appreciation. What are you teaching that child? You didn't even say thank you when he brought it. You didn't say, please go and bring me the book. These are team capacity building qualities that our children need. Look, after this pandemic, or during this pandemic, jobs are scarce. In fact, looking for a job will be a job in itself. And there will be no jobs lying around. There will be so much competition that is only the best characters, not just in terms of what they do, the professional PhD degrees, but people are looking for the right attitudes, people with character, people who can work in a team. And it begins with small communication attributes that they have to learn at home, and not just in school. And as a teacher, even here, I have found out that what I'm saying, it is our African Caribbean children that lack these skills. Even in the school, you will find many of them are sent to naughty corners because they don't say please, because they push when they are in the line. They don't say thank you. And until you have to spend minutes to say, what's the magic word? Then they will now, oh, please, oh, thank you. And you can really see that they have not been taught at home. I am banging on this thing because it is affecting our community, and we need to do something about it. Very important.
Oh,
This is good.
Thank you very much, and for that.
Yeah.
So yes. I've got your guests, and I think there's another. Is it Sabina?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, of course she's left, but if she comes back in, then I will let you know. So I'll leave the two of you to go through what you have.
Yes. So Wura, please take up from there.
Oh, sorry. I just got in. So again. Sorry, can you just do a quick recap for me?
Yes. So the quick recap is that I am talking about the impact of this pandemic, COVID-19, on the love, sex, and relationship attributes among our community, the African Caribbean community. And I have said the pandemic is not just corona pandemic. We have a pandemic of broken relationships. Yeah. In fact, in our community, because people were mostly faith-based families, whether we are married or we are divorced or we are separated or we are singles or we are widows, we belong to one particular faith or the other, be it Muslim, any other faith, Christians. And so many of us hide under that veil, and then we pretend that everything is all right. It has been shown, and I have said from 2020 to 2021, myself and my husband have mentored one-on-one 41 families that are undergoing breakdown in their relationship. So you would find that it is even the Christian families, many of them, they are in the home, but they are very unhappy. In psychology, we call them the high risk family relationship or high risk climate, and which is even some psychologists have defined it that is worse than those who are divorced, who are from divorce homes. The effect, because these unhappy relationships within the home affects not just the couple, not just the individual, but it affects children. And it also means that we are not presenting good role models for even our children, who will now, after this pandemic, be in a competitive economic market, and they have not been mentored or have role models that will teach them good communication attributes that they will grow up with to compete favorably in the wider society.
I think the whole, thank you for touching on that, because I think one thing I've kind of picked up over the time is we use this word, it is well, loosely, right? When I used to work with the domestic abuse unit, one thing I've picked up is there are some things that happens within our community, within couples, within our community or families, and some of these things are easily resolved. But unfortunately, because the communication doesn't work at home, so communication has always been a big thing. By God's grace, I've been able to work with families behind the scene when concerns has been raised. And you know, when you start listening to them, one thing that always come on top is communication is always a big start there. Because, you know, the moment husband and wife or, you know, partners, whatever it is, that they start talking, you discover that the man or the woman, one partner is talking from the north, another one is in the south, right? And then sometimes when this happens, you find that both of them, they are worlds apart. And then when you now engage the children in conversation, those children are in the West, in a different world entirely from their parents. So it's trying to see how to balance things. And I think another thing is when you start speaking to, well, from my own experience, I'm not a faith leader, someone who, So, but you know, you have this. So what I tend to do with families is when we talk couples, family, whatever it is, depends on whatever the circumstances that come to speak to me about. So once we start having conversation, the first thing you hear is, it is well. You know, and I always say to them,
never well.
I am not a pastor. Don't use it is well for me. Let us talk. What is the problem? Right? Now, another thing is, I know the month of January, if I'm right, is a month of fasting in most churches. Right? And I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this elephant in the room. So you have a lot of couples I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a lot of couples who, you know, in their churches, they're told to do fasting 100 days, 1,000 days, how many, whatever days they are doing. What you now discover is these couples, I don't know, I'm not 100% sure what they teach people in church, right? And I don't want to say that because I'm not a faith leader, you know, and I know that sometimes people do take the context of the word wrongly, right?
They do.
But one thing I've noticed is you find that you've got couples that they don't even have sex with themselves, and they will tell you, you know, when you start speaking to them, they tell you, we are fasting. I'm going to commit sin. You understand? So of course,
an excuse.
Because I am not a faith leader, you know me, I cannot educate, and I'm not a marriage counselor either. So I cannot. But my own is always, when you look at it from the angle of intimacy, The fact that, because for couples, I believe it's not just a case of honey, darling, I love you, whatever. There's more to it. And in the world of Valentine's, right? Today is our Valentine Day, and I want to, I'm deliberately linking it to that.
Yes.
We had, what's the name? I was reading an article this morning where I went to, and a pastor, a well-known drama minister, had written something about Valentine. And I thought it was taken out of context, what is written, right? I get where he's coming from, but maybe Christians or people who are, how will I say, people who are not religious, right?
Religious,
because when I have conversation with people, I tend not to hide, I tend not to speak on religion, because I think we need to be very, for faith leaders, I can understand they are coming from an angle of religion. But I think we also, as a community, we need to start looking at things from a very secular way, whereby we're applying religion to our day-to-day lifestyle, right?
We have to balance it.
Now, people have talked about this particular this particular drama minister was talking about Valentine from the angle of sex. And, he was saying, today is a day that people will be wounded, the destiny of people will be changed, blah, blah, blah. For me, I feel the conversation, in my own understanding anyway, I think the conversation should have been around educating people. Exactly. As a couple, every day is Valentine's Day. Valentine is just a day.
That's what I said.
Right? Every day is Valentine. Because just the little things like helping the children, now that we're all locked up in our little spaces where there's homeschooling. I mean, some of us were lucky we don't have little children anymore. But for those who have children, it's even the little help of, okay, let's divide our chores and help ourselves in educating these children. That is a sign of love. That's Valentine.
Yes, it is.
Just helping your partner make a cup of tea, or just helping her in the kitchen, anything,
Yes.
So the problem is when children, like you said, when children don't see this intimacy in the household, right? It becomes a problem, because to them too, when they are growing old, I have a child who is, I call him a baby, but of course he will correct me 1,000.
He's a big boy.
Yes. But, personally, I see the way I see his kind of friendship with the opposite sex. And I'm really proud of what he's modeled out of it, right? And I always believe that children, the way they react with people outside their home is what they've learned from their home, right? And also, like, coming back to the whole sex thing in marriage, or in marriage, definitely. We have couples who will tell you, I'm fasting. And in the process of fasting, they don't do what they're meant to do as couple. And what happens is the man or the woman begins to look outside. I'm not giving an excuse, but these are the realities, right? Or even simple things like some women, I'm going to kind of touch on something, because there are a lot of things that I wrote down. I had a note of few things before, obviously, before coming on board. Obviously, when we're preparing for all of this. Now, for instance, I remember speaking to a lady. There was an incident that happened, and I ended up working with a lady. And I remember speaking, and she said, do you know, my husband has never, he always calls me fat and everything. He's never even told me how he sees me, And when she was saying it, she broke into tears. Now, I'm not a marriage counselor in any shape or form. It was because of the incident that was what brought about that conversation. The incident I was, supporting them with. And when she said that, and I called the man, we spoke differently, and the man said, the man just talked, and I said, what about if you said this in a different way? Without saying it the way you're saying it? Would that have made a lot of difference? Because what happened with that particular couple was the lady began to seek friendship outside, and my understanding is when you're a couple, your friend should be your partner.
Yes.
Whatever you are doing, at least your partner should be your best friend. That's my understanding. The moment you start seeking, you can have external friends and whatever, but your sole friendship, my understanding anyway, is your partner. And even children will tell you, oh, my mom does like this, my dad does like this, because they see it at home. They replicate it at home. But in our community, we have this, there's this secrecy about sex. There's this secrecy about love. I love you is not, anybody can say I love you, but how is it practiced at home? I always use my son as a very good example. I mean, my son, as children, when they are young, you tell them what to do. When they get to a teenage age, you need to learn to negotiate, because that is the way forward. Then when they now become young adults, oh my goodness, you now learn to be a psychologist, because the way they act is completely different from So you cannot treat a 21-year-old the way you will treat a 1-year-old. They are two different people. Like my son, me and him, we do quarrel. That's the truth. They will, children. He has his own way of doing. And these internet children, they have their set way of doing things. We, before the internet system, or we that were coming in the middle of internet, we have a different. I remember there was one day we were having a conversation, and he said, "Mom, you are only typing with 2 fingers." And I said, in my day, we used to write letter. There was no Yahoo Messenger. It was not there for us to be typing. It was just there for us to be calling home. And they're quite good in typing and everything. But the point I'm trying to make is, in as much as when he does something wrong, we will talk about it. Yes, at the point I will get angry and everything. But he knows it's coming from a place of love. Right? We have that conversation. And why am I talking about this? In the sense that when I now see him, like sometimes we have a conversation around his friends, stuff like that. We have deep talk conversations. And he will say to me, Mom, do you know, I actually enjoy communication, and my friends don't understand that, because at home, you've taught me to talk about things that are bothering me. So what our children, they are a product of what they see in the household. And if your children are saying, Mom, that is like some mothers, you find that they just walk around, they look so haggard. Some women look 68, even though they are just 18. And the men are looking 20, even though they are 70. Because the woman has all the burden of work in her life. And it could be vice versa too. It could be that the woman too is the man who is doing everything and the woman is not doing anything. But one thing, I remember my grandmom used to say to me, my grandmom said, you see, in a relationship or in friendship, 2 hands wash themselves together in order to achieve something. So as a family, I work as a social worker in children and family. And of course, I deal with a lot of families, for instance. And some of the things, when you walk into some homes, you can easily see the families who work as a team. And when concerns are raised, you can tell from just mere assessment that you see, there's concern, but these couples are couples who will work together to address that concern. And then there are some couples who would go into the house and you can see that, oh, dad is in the east, mom is in the south. She's not even in the west, let alone she's in the south, far away from the scenario, And in the season of love, or in the month of love, or day of love, whatever it's called, Valentine's Day, I think as a community, we need to start talking about the elephant in the room. And what's the elephant in the room? Relationship. It's not just a case of honey, darling. No, it's not just a case of husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. What does it mean to us? Because when a home is ruffled, you don't need to go far away. You will just look at the children. You can tell from looking at children in the household, or even in school, children in the household, in school, in playground, you can tell the kind of home they come from. Like some children, naturally, they are aggressive. Trust me, if you take a step back and study that child, the child is replicating what is at home. You see some children, they are so kind. I'm not saying 100% that's what happens, but there are some children naturally, they're quite kind. They're very attuned to their emotions. You can tell. Again, you can easily trace back where they're coming from. You can trace back the home front. There are some children who are extremely quiet. And perhaps in school, I've heard school teachers say, this child is naturally a quiet child, but suddenly the child lashes out. And then they are curious to know, why is that child lashing out? What was that all about? Right? And also as parents, it's not just. I think there was a time I was attending a faith, one of the churches, and we're talking about contraceptives. And I will never forget, the pastor of that church said, all the teenagers here are virgins. And I started laughing. And so, the children, of course, they were not free at first to talk. But then one of them said, Auntie, can you get our parents to live here? And when these children opened conversation, in short, even the adults were learners close to these children. Right? But again, I think as parents, it's important that we give that freedom of conversation. Where your children are allowed to talk about, because if we don't talk about it at home, these children, they will talk about it in school or even among their friends. And it is better for me, my own principle anyway, with my child is I rather know from him than to go and hear from outside. So that even if there's a case of STD, you know how to deal with it. If there's a case of, when a child understands it from the home front, when children understand, because these are things that are in their face.
Yes.
These are internet children. I keep calling them the internet because that's the truth. The internet is the time of internet revolution is their time, and they see. So even if we don't teach them at home, the internet is there to teach them. If the internet does not teach them, their friends are there to teach them. So in the season of love, I think for us as community leaders, faith leaders, family, let's talk openly to ourselves. For the faith leaders, I would also advise or encourage that, for marriage counseling, there are a lot of things that need to be spoken about. People don't speak about things. They will tell you, God forbid. Somebody once told me somebody once said to me in one of the cases I did, the lady said, before me and my husband gets intimate, I anoint myself. And I thought, okay, because I don't get into religious conversations. I really do not get into it. But it was very interesting that she said that. And of course, my colleague, obviously that was strange to them because they were like, that's abuse. Why are you doing that? But being an African, I could tell that, it's from a religious angle. I don't know if that, I don't want to believe she was taught that in her church. But like I said, people do take things over the board, right? So she said it openly. She said, me and my husband, we can't be intimate if I don't anoint myself. And the man was irritated. He said, you see, this is what I have to put up with. She will go and do anointing. She will anoint and pray and speak in tongue. So I
to take up on that, what you have said about the faith based members. Look, the man or the woman, the man of God or the woman of God, they are man first before of God. So no amount, and most denominations, even if you are fasting, you have to talk and discuss, come to an amicable agreement with your partner. But sex is not prohibited. In the denomination that I know of, it's not prohibited during fasting. And so that is not an excuse. There are some times also that both men and women have used sex as an excuse to punish each other, which is wrong in our community. It shouldn't be. And then you are violating even the very faith that you are professing to be a follower of. So that doesn't even work well. It doesn't bring any progress or improvement in the communication at home. And also what you said on ending quarrels. Quarrels are bound to occur. Small conflicts are good for relationship because you learn to know each other. But on ending quarrels is what we are talking about, that it needs to be minimized, not just for the couple, but for the example is laying for the children. You look, the walls in our houses are so porous. You may think that you are just discussing it in your home, in your room, quarreling every day. The children are hearing. They are hearing, and it is affecting them, and they will grow up with that. Another issue, I have commented on that about women realizing that men are visual, and so they should not be walking around the house like Mama Calabar or old women in the house. And then make the romantic surprise for your husband occasionally. And the husband too, if you are the one staying home and your wife goes to care home and works for a long period, make a surprise romantic evening for her, or make something special for her that she will feel so valued, so full of self-esteem, and then it will ultimately affect the communication and relationship in that home. Make home fun now that the lockdown is in. As old as I'm all young. As old as I am, there were times I will dress in my swimming costume and I will be dancing, doing some impression, comb my hair up like these modern girls. And it is fun. Me and my husband, we have fun in it. My children will all have fun. And when my children were growing up, I remember we used to have things like praise night. I will make sure that I close the windows, close everywhere, make my own home cakes, and then this what do they eat in this cinema? Popcorn.
Yeah.
We will sit down and we will watch films with them. We will watch their children's program, and it is such fun. Then we have what I call praise day. We will select people, they will bring their own songs, and then we have games that we play as a family. After you have had your faith sessions or Bible study or what have you, you can have 15 minutes to have games. Make the one child be responsible for bringing the games for Monday, another child for Tuesday, another child. Just 15 minutes or 10 minutes of fun. There are some houses you will go after 5 minutes, you would think you are in a mortuary. Or you are in because the atmosphere is so tense, you can feel it as an outsider. And I wonder how the children look so sad and moody, and they are only happy when they are relating to you. And then you will find some of us, as I used to say, some of us African Caribbean, sometimes we are too holy for even God to use, because and some of us have turned ourselves into Holy Ghost Junior. That there is a disconnect. We are widening the generational gap, as you said. Children don't feel free when we are this Holy Ghost Junior. We don't allow them to talk. We shut them down. So we are the one when they say Black Lives Matter. It takes our children, you will see, it takes them, most of our children are not out there because they don't, in fact, like in the denomination that I knew, only 2 the teenagers went to those rallies because many of them have had their voices shut down. That
yeah, so I think, sorry, I'm not sure what happened, maybe our internet. So I think in going forward, what we're looking to do is ensure that as African community, we need to start talking about those elephants in the room. We need to be able to have proper conversations. Relationship is important, and more so in the season of love, our emotions, we all need to be attuned to our emotions. And I think for children, for our children, they're a model, they're a product of what we see at home. And also for families as well. I think as African community, it's high time we start paying attention as couples. It's high time we start paying attention to the little things. I mean, this country, for those of us who live in Scotland or any part of the world right now, particularly in the Western country, like Scotland, we're all locked up in the house. It's quite tensed, obviously, because, we're all in each other's space, let's be honest. We get in each other's space, we step on each other's toes. Those little things that you probably not pay attention to, you're paying attention to it now because we are in each other's space. It's not anything bad. It's just what the reality is. So we can be creative around it, and maybe this is a time for us to appreciate ourselves more as couples. Learn to appreciate yourself. What are the little things? What are the simple things? It's not those simple things could even be like, getting your wife or partner a cup of water to drink, just simple gestures. Even the children, now that we're in each other's space, I suppose we can maybe learn to look at some hobbies. Maybe it could be, cooking together, baking together. You're bonding differently, because the truth is, with Corona, we don't know how long we are going to be locked in the house. Let's be honest with ourselves.
We don't know.
And I think the earlier we all start getting used to being in each other's space, the better for everybody. And I think going forward also, if we're able to address some of the concerns we have within our household, it allows us, because being locked up in the same space right now, I know with my son, it's easier when everybody goes to work, you come back and we're all fine. But now that we are in each other's face 24/7, I know recently I suddenly realized that his kind of music, annoys me. But these are the music he's been playing in the past that obviously it never really bothered me, because I'm never in his space 24/7. And even me, sometimes I like singing in the shower, and my son will come and tap the door. Mom, stop being an African mother, It's just, we're stepping on each other's toes, let's be honest. But in between it as well, one thing I've learned to do now, which I'm really excited about, I've learned to use my FaceTime more with him. And I even learned to use, what's the name? I was feeling so on top of the world, but it was teasing me actually. In the FaceTime, you do the funny emojis. So the funny faces, you have the cat's ears and the dog ears and whatever it is. So I was doing it the other day and he was laughing at me. He was like, Mom, you're behaving like a teenager. And I said, okay, at least now I'm learning it. But you see, these are little things. And within those, with just FaceTiming, sometimes like watching a movie, I just go and annoy him. Because it's the time for us to bond more, And for me, because of the age of my child, I'm lucky to have him now, because I know I suppose if COVID comes off now, he's working remotely now. So I am very sure when COVID is over, I probably will not see him for a while, So, just enjoy the bonding. And for parents or partners, let's come out and tell ourselves the truth. You see, we can't be lying to ourselves. We can't be doing, it's good to speak in tongues, but let us speak in the English that we all understand. Let us speak in the language you also understand at home. As couples, let's learn to give gestures. Our kids notice us. There used to be a lady in the church I used to attend, in one of the churches I used to attend. And the husband and wife, they called themselves honey, darling, honey, darling. And I remembered when their little child was growing up, when he started speaking, he will go to the mom and say, honey, and then he will go to the dad and say, darling. But that's because that's what he's been hearing mom and dad. Even when we call the mother her own name, the boy he makes the point of correction. He will tell us, no, her name is honey. And when you call the dad, you say, no, his name is darling, because that's what he heard them say. And, it's just those little gestures. And for us in our community, now, a lot of us, it's good to work. It's good to go to work and, do our shift or 9 to 5 or whatever we're doing. It's good to do it. But we must also learn to create family time as well. We have to learn to balance our family time. Yes, with the coronavirus, some of us are lucky we do the 9 to 5, whatever it is that we're doing. But for those, whether 9 to 5, even the 9 to 5 now, we're having to work at home. But I think in the midst of working at home, we also need to be able to take time away, whereby when work finishes at whatever time we finish our work, we're able to switch back to family time. Let's all recap together. Let's all look at how our day has been. Let's look at what we have done for the day. And let's catch up with ourselves. Because it's quite an emotional time for all of us. And when we are quite ruffled, it does impact on our mental health. We don't have to go until you start taking medication before you know that there is mental health. Depression can come in any shape or form. It's not until you go to the doctor. We can be, for even being locked at home, the fact that we have lost, for me, I I don't necessarily see my sister every time, but the fact that we are locked up right now, you know, for the first time, I miss seeing her. Because it's not, you know, those things that you just do without thinking about. Now with coronavirus being locked at home, those things become suddenly important to you, whereby you're yearning to see your family, whereby you're not just happy just speaking on the phone anymore. You know, like even going to Nigeria now is a luxury, because according to the government, before you can travel anywhere, you need to have a good reason. So even the little thing like I want to travel to Spain with Brexit, you know, that's another story that will come after that. Because right now we're dealing with COVID, but then the reality is after the COVID, we now have to face the reality of Brexit. And, you know, traveling to all these European countries back in the days was okay. You didn't need a visa to be there. But now, I suppose, now after 90 days, you need a visa to be there. You know, yes, for now, it might not really be a big deal, but there are some of our brothers and sisters or people within our community who work in European countries and their families are settled here. You know, that becomes a big conversation, but I suppose we can have that conversation when it's time. But with the COVID, I think for us as community, we all need to now start making good use of this family time we have. Look at, I mean, some families, they do family meeting. You know, it's good to do that family meeting where you recap. Okay, what is it? The children, where are they? Where are they at with their lives and their careers and everything? Like my son, I know sometimes I don't understand what he has studied in school, but he tells me, he educates me 1,001 million times, and I will ask question 1,001 million times. But I'm quite curious to know. And even my own kind of job, he doesn't understand what I do, but we talk about it, you know? So while we are in our space, being locked up in our space, there are a lot of things that we can discover about ourselves. You know, suddenly I realize I'm a very good singer. Suddenly, although I've not found where I belong to in the singing, but you know, now I'm beginning to learn how to play piano. I've learned how to mix DJ on internet. So you know, there are skills we are learning. Even though we'll quarrel, they will tell me I'm not doing it right, but at least, you know, yeah. Over to you, ma.
Yes, and I want to say also there are booklets available. Don't stay alone. You can reach out for help to organizations like ours, for organizations like OY Media Scotland. You can leave your questions, any specific questions that you have. Don't leave your name, just give us the questions with our email or on OY Media Scotland media email. It will get to us and we will answer you speedily. This is about talking with your child about relationships and sexual health. Is prepared by Healthier Scotland. This is for children between the ages of 4 and 9 years old. And there is between 10 and 15. And there is also from 15 and above. It's online, or if you need help and you need a particular hard copy, we can get it through to you and we can post it out to you. There is also a book that I and some of my colleagues had written some years back, Sex and Love Today. And it has a specific reference to our African Caribbean community. And also, I will appeal that we reach out more to our community, especially those that are separated, with the widows, they are single. We find out how are they coping, how are they getting on. It's also an extension of love and the feeling of maintaining contact and connecting. In fact, it has been proven that those who connect with their friends, with their community, develop a healthier life. Is health to our body, mentally and physically. So that is important. Another aspect also that we may touch at it at another time is to be aware of leaving your children at this time. Sometimes, with the lockdown, you can't live with another family. But some of our community, we have issues of sometimes leaving our children with families and friends. And police will tell you most of the sexual abuses that take place is among family and friends and family and friends that your children have been left with innocently, and children find it very, very hard to speak out. If we adults find it difficult to speak out, you can imagine what our children are going through. So we'll have to note that also. And if couples or if people are going through having difficulties in achieving sexual fulfillment, it's good to talk about it. We cannot overemphasize the issue of talking about this issue with your partner. If you are not reaching orgasm, talk to your partner how you can do it, both men and women. We have seen this. It has constituted a huge problem in families. Most families, when they come to you, they will tell you the other problems, financial problems, lack of respect problem. But when you dig deeper, you will find that the root of the problem is that one partner or both partners are not getting sufficient sexual fulfillment in bed. And so they are covering up with other dissatisfactions that they can easily talk about. These are issues we must go deep. That's why me and Wura have been out with it for all of us, because we need to clear ourselves. We need to have some emotional balance. And finally, it's good for homes to keep monitoring chart, emotional monitoring chart, like monitoring the emotions, not just of children, but even for you and your husband. You can keep it in your bedroom or keep it for the children each in their bedroom. And then each day they will say whether they feel happy, not happy, what are they happy with, maybe in the morning, afternoon, evening. And they can do this on a daily basis or a weekly basis. Go online. There are some of these charts you can just print out and then use it. It's very important, because you may think you know, but there are many things we don't really know until we find out. So please, as we have said, many people have really the fact that all of us are alive today. It's a thing to really be grateful for. And those of us that are more informed, we should please not keep quiet. We should reach out and contact as many people as we can individually on our own WhatsApp or in elsewhere. And we are waiting to hear from you, all of you, to connect. And I think is our other team coordinator here, Sabina?
No, I just wanted to quickly read out a comment from Regine. Sorry if I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. She said, "I agree with every point you have made, ladies. Thank you. Thanks so much, Regine.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully you connect with us and we can have a chat."
Yes. Ask many questions. Please send your questions to our emails. Send your questions, your observations, your suggestions, or even some topics that you would want us to discuss. We need to hear from you. Thank you. And thank you for Sabina. I think she's one of the three of us are the ones coordinating the project. She was here, but I think she left. In fact, we just wished her well because she has been bereaved recently. She lost her brother, and so it has been a heavy load on the family. So Sabina, we are with you all the way, and we know you are being comforted, and we are standing shoulder to shoulder with you, so you'll be fine. I'm not saying okay. So
you're not saying it is well. Yeah.
I'm not saying it is well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So well, thank you very much, OY Media Scotland. I think we cannot express our gratitude for using your platform, and your platform has really, really enriched and enabled us to reach a much wider community, and well done for the work you are doing. And we hope that this is just the beginning of greater and greater partnership with your organization. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having us. Yeah. Right.
Right, viewers, thanks for joining us today. And that brings us to the end of the program for today. Remember, we're on live broadcast, both on Facebook and YouTube on Saturday starting from 3 p.m. and on Sunday starting from 5:40. So do enjoy the rest of the weekend. That's just a couple of hours before the weekend runs out. And of course, do have a wonderful working week. Thank you.
Christ alone took on flesh, fullness of God in endless grace, His gift of love and righteousness. So by the one He came to save, sin on the cross and Jesus dead. The wrath of God was justified for everything on Him was laid. Yeah, in the days of Christ, I live. Orisaki Yashawo, Yala Labaro. Sweet mother. Orisaki Yashawo, Yala Labaro. Mama tó gbé mi sínú, fóṣù mẹ́sàn-án, tó pọ̀n mí sẹ́yìn, fọ́dún mẹ́ta, ó gbìyànjú. Kí lè jẹ́ ènìyàn, láyé ti wá ọjọ́ tó pé bí mọ́nú, torí kí lè jẹ́, kí lè wọṣọ, ó ṣalátìlẹ́yìn mi, torí kí lè jẹ́ ènìyàn, olùgbà òṣè, ìyá nìyá mi, ìyá lálábàárò, èjìká tí ọjà ṣọwọ́ jábọ́, ẹ bá mi kí màmá mi abiyamọ.